If you like the story, you can support the author on Patreon. Link is in the description.
Chapter 26, Chapter 23, Reality of Marriage. Ha! He let out an exhausted sigh when his girlfriend asked, "Where are you off to, hey?" Her voice was still sweet and had a touch of horror in it. He was no stranger to handling women, but this situation was throwing him off. It felt more like a married couple thing, which is what his relationship with her had evolved into. The only difference was that they had skipped all the administrative and wedding ceremonies. But that didn't matter to him. He wasn't the type to hide behind legal documents and deny the reality of having a wife and beautiful children. "Oh, I see you're too busy with your job, hey? Or are you just hyped to see those adorable female students and can't contain yourself?" How adorable! His wife's skepticism hung in the air behind him. He paused in his tracks, contemplating what to do. A. I'm busy. B. I'm in a hurry, let's talk later. C. I gotta go for some milk. C. D. He turned back and kissed her. And he chose D. Cool. He nodded earnestly, knowing he was still new to this whole husband thing. Meanwhile, AI was clearly annoyed with him, and to wake him up to reality, she threw a slipper at him. Minoru's eyes widened, and his instincts kicked in. The slipper was heading his way, slow enough for him to dodge, but he wondered why she always aimed for his butt. Squish! The slipper smacked his butt, but luckily, it was a cute bunny slipper that didn't do any harm, even though his rear still ached from the bullet wound. He glanced back at AI, who had her arms crossed, and her gaze told him, "Come here, or else." As he approached her, he decided to go in for a hug. "You know what? Don't think you can get away with just hugging me." Minoru released her and looked into her eyes. "I'm not." And he kissed her. MNN. Alright, that's enough. Her anxiety was overwhelming, and she didn't think it was the right time for a kiss. Minoru sensed her unease. "I assume this is related to what Ruby talked about." "Yes, it is." "Then you don't have to worry. I give you my word that I'm a loyal man." Seeing his serious expression, AI felt relieved, but she was no fool. Ahem. "Look, Minoru-kun. Our situation is pretty unique, right? We can't legally get married yet. And it's not just that I'm worried you might change your mind, but I'm also concerned about our kids. So, I'm not just gonna take your word for it without some solid guarantees, you know." AI tried to recall Miyako's advice about binding him to her because she had said that a man like him was a treasure that women seek. She agreed with Miyako's advice, but in her happiness, she had forgotten all about it. Fortunately, her daughter was sharp and brought up the topic at the perfect time. "I'm aware." "That's good. You should be aware that you're quite the catch, Minoru-kun. You know plenty of girls will be checking you out, drooling." Minoru chuckled. "Okay, so if I quit my job to dodge that mess, would you be willing to do the same?" At Minoru's question, AI frowned at him. "Wait. Why would you even write that song, then? It'll be even harder for me to retire if we succeed." "You're right about that." AI playfully smacked his chest but stopped abruptly. Her eyes widened as she realized her situation was far different from his. For her, Minoru was a teacher, and while he was handsome, the relationship between a teacher and a student was still taboo. On the other hand, AI was an idol, an entertainer with a massive fan following and plenty of men eyeing her. AI. She regretted her harsh words. AI looked down, clutching her left hand to stop it from trembling. Shit. He just touched a sensitive spot. "I'm sorry. I understand that your career means a lot to you. I shouldn't have asked that question. You're entitled to complain about anything since you're my woman. So, feel free to do so." "No, I'm the one who's been tough on you. I'm sorry for my harsh words." She lied, and Minoru could see through it. She put on a facade, making it seem like everything was fine. He glanced at his wristwatch, realizing he still had some time. It was 7:28 a.m. The welcome ceremony was scheduled to start at 11, but he needed to arrive at 9 to oversee the event and the student council. Yet, he couldn't just leave AI in this state, Minoru thought. "I need to come up with something, or else, our family will fuck up." "Minoru-kun, you can go now." With a warm smile that concealed her true feelings, AI gazed at Minoru. "I'm sorry for holding you back on your first day. I'm a terrible girlfriend, aren't I?" "No, you're wrong. Anyway, wait here. You She was puzzled as Minoru dropped his briefcase and headed up the stairs, presumably to his room. But why? What concerned her more was, okay, how about you two come out? AI smiled at the twins, who were hiding somewhere. However, there was no response from them. Her raised left brow revealed her skepticism as they seemed confident in their hiding skills and underestimated their mommy's sixth sense. Sigh. AI took out her last slipper. I said, come out. Aqua and Ruby stifled their breath, feeling a chill run down their spines. Dash. He strolled into his private bedroom, a place off limits to anyone but him. In the dimly lit room, he unearthed his secret stash, items that held his deepest secrets. Among them, was a DNA test result that left no room for doubt, pointing directly to a milk run or child support, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. Then, he retrieved a small, weathered wooden box and opened it, emotions weighing him down. It's been a while. Inside, a pair of plain, silver wedding rings, once worn by his parents who had tragically perished in a plane crash, rested. It had taken him years to reclaim these rings. Frankly, he had never envisioned using them, let alone passing them on to someone else. He recollected the day when, as a toddler, he didn't even know who the fuck his parents were. They held him tightly as the plane plummeted before crashing into the mountains below. When he had come to, racked with pain, he had seen his parents crushed by plane debris, much like deadly throwing knives. He lost his new parents and gained a different kind of life, one that forced him into servitude under the Ruska Bratva. Helpless as a 3-year-old, he had watched those rings taken away by the heavily armed adult. He chuckled wryly, gazing at the rings that had been his link to the past. They were a reminder of the hardships he'd faced as he suddenly found himself a toddler in a harsh world, forced to fight for survival until he became known as the deadliest of them all. With a deep breath, he refocused and headed back to AI, who patiently waited for him. Dash. As he descended the stairs, AI hurriedly approached him, her face edged with worry. She swiftly picked up his leather briefcase and ushered Minoru toward the elevator. Minoru-kun, let's go. Minoru nodded, glimpsed Aqua and Ruby in their school uniforms, and waved goodbye as they vanished from view. Ooh. Mama kicked him out. Kakak. Ruby was totally pumped. Seeing that, Aqua just shook his head, kinda amused. AI dragged Minoru over to the elevator when she panted, hey, we'll chat later, haha. You're heavy. I'm kinda freaked out because of me, you might be late for work. Minoru grinned, getting in on their little game of my adorable wife pushing me to work cause she's scared I'll get canned thanks to her cute jealousy. No, it's fine. Trust me. If you don't stop me, I'll be at school an hour earlier than the student council and my colleague I'm supposed to meet today. Anyway, we've got plenty of time to spare. AI pouted, thinking that her man was a bit extreme in various ways. She shook her head, deciding not to act too tough on him. She trusted Minoru. Okay. Here. Minoru accepted his briefcase but set it on the floor because he'd deal with it later. AI. Suddenly, his tone became serious, making AI nervous. What? I know this is sudden, but are you satisfied with me? She tilted her head and closed her eyes as she contemplated the question. Well, yes, I am. But why that question? You should be asking if I love you or not, right? Minoru smirked. My bad, my question had that in it. Haha. How cunning. Then she playfully closed her eyes, crossed her arms with pride, and wore a crafty smile. Of course, I am. Considering all he did for her, wasn't it obvious? When she peeked through her right eye, she was shocked, her eyes widening as Minoru suddenly knelt before her. Listen. I can't stand how our relationship is so damn confusing. We basically act like a married couple. So. AI gasped when Minoru presented a wooden box. When it opened, it revealed a pair of silver rings. Her eyes sparkled as a surge of happiness washed over her. How about we become one? AI had to suppress a KYAA shout to avoid startling the twins, so she nodded silently and extended her right hand. Minoru smiled and placed his mother's ring on her finger. It fits perfectly. Minoru nodded, realizing that his mother and AI were not that different. Hoa. AI looked at the ring, fascinated. Okay, now it's my turn. Minoru stood up, and AI retrieved a larger ring. As she humorously knelt, Minoru held her tightly. Hold up, a lady don't do that to a man. Is that so? Ahaha. She slowly placed the ring on his right ring finger. Don't lose the ring. It's priceless to me. Ai pouted and narrowed her eyes at him. You're not gonna tell me this ring cost, right? Can you stop wasting money? Honestly, it's pretty budget-friendly for my liking. But, these belong to my parents. So. His smile conveyed more than words could. She hugged him tightly, apologizing. Sorry. It's all right. It means we had no expenses on wedding rings. She playfully smacked him for making a joke but then pulled him closer again. Let's kiss. Just do it. Ai blushed profusely as she wasn't used to using such adult words. Nevertheless, they kissed, and with that, Minoru gave himself a thumbs up, knowing he'd secured his retirement plan. Ting. Excuse me. Miyako arrived at Minoru's penthouse to pick up Ai and the twins but was taken aback by the unexpected sight before her. The awkward part was that they didn't even notice Miyako's presence as they continued to kiss passionately. With a mix of awkwardness and sadness, Miyako hit the elevator's close button. Chapter 27, Chapter 24, Why is Daddy so rich? In the luxury living room, the twins fixed their gaze on the couple, their expressions filled with shock. How is it? HMMMN. Ai proudly displayed her wedding ring while clutching Minoru's hand, showing off his ring as well. Aqua, Ruby and Miyako stared at the couple, taking in Ai's beaming smile and Minoru's sly grin as they flaunted their rings. Ahaha, those are some nice rings. Congratulati. Wait. Aqua interrupted Miyako. Don't tell me Mom is going to retire? What about Bikomaka's new project? That's right. How could Mama possibly quit being an idol? Ruby sported a mix of unamused and disappointed expressions, narrowing her eyes cutely at Yanagin, the prime suspect. Ai tilted her head in confusion. Who said I'll quit being an idol? Who wait? The twins looked dumbfounded. Of course, I'll still be an idol for the time being since we have a great song to sing. Anyway, don't worry. Ai reassured them, holding her wrist and blinking cheerfully. Minoru smiled and checked the time. All right then. If the misunderstanding is cleared up, I need to head out now. Ai gasped. Oh. You're right. Let us get going too, right? Ai glanced at the twins, who nodded and began packing their stuff, while Miyako sighed, reflecting on her somewhat dull marriage. To begin with, our marriage is for work and I shouldn't complain about it. She nodded and wanted to say something to Ai but hesitated, feeling guilty as Ai still gazed at her ring finger with sparkling eyes. After all, it was a special moment for her, and Ai was just a woman like her, so it was a normal reaction. But still. Ai-san, please refrain from wearing the ring in public. You're right. Ai pouted at her while embracing Ruby in a hug. It's troublesome, nay Ruby. But she didn't expect Minoru to swiftly remove her ring and place it back in the wooden box, causing her pout to deepen. Hey! What? Isn't this a good place to keep things like these? He placed his ring in the box and handed it to her. She snatched it back as if it would be taken from her again. Minoru smirked, and they all made their way to the basement parking lot. Ting! As the door opened wide, it revealed Minoru's impressive collection of cars, which always left Ai, Miyako, Aqua, and Ruby dazzled by their splendor. How sparkling, sigh. What's this man's actual job, really? He said he's working as a teacher now, hey. Miyako glanced at Minoru, her mind racing as if she were conducting a mental background check. Meanwhile, Aqua silently listed the names of the cars in his head, as he had already done his research. Bugatti Veyron Super Sport, Ferrari Enzo, Koenigsegg Agera R, Pagani Huayra, Mercedes SLS AMG and G-Class AMG for his daily use, a Porsche 911 that I already knew, Aston Martin DB5, Ford Mustang 69, Nissan GT-R R35, and he bought a Tesla Model X? By the way, where's AI's car? Aqua wondered about the Toyota hatchback he had bought for AI. More importantly, he was in awe of his dad's deep pocket. Wait, what kind of job does he have to afford all of this? It's a joke that he's teaching when he's already this rich. Aqua recalled the first time they moved here. The basement was empty, with only a Porsche 911 parked, the car he used at the time. Over time, this place had become a sanctuary for supercars. Ahem. So. AI raised her left eyebrow as she inspected Minoru's car collection. Her eyes narrowed, focusing on two new cars, a white and grey Tesla Model X with all the options. I was sure those cars are new here. She glanced back at Minoru, seeking clarification. Yes. I decided to sell that Toyota, and you'll use the Tesla from now on. Wait, what? Why didn't you ask me first? Ha ha ha, no. Anyway, the grey one is yours, Miyako-san. Minoru handed the key to Miyako, who was taken aback. Eh? Wait. I can't accept something this fancy just like that. Miyako waved her hands, feeling overwhelmed by the grand gesture. Just take it. Did you forget that you work for me now? Technically, Minoru was the new owner of Strawberry Production, and he was her boss's boss. She looked at the key and reluctantly accepted it. Thank you, sir. Okay. Since it's a new car, how about Mrs. Manager take a look first? Miyako smiled and nodded, albeit with nervousness as Minoru had a commanding presence. Why yes, I think I should check it out first. Excuse me. With the click-clack of her heels, she made her way to the car, leaving Minoru's wife and kids staring at him with blank expressions. Why does it feel so awkward when he talks to Miyako/Miyaiman when AI's around? Jerk. TCH. TCHX2. Aqua and Ruby could pick up on his smooth talking around women, and it somehow got on their nerves, especially when AI was right there. He cleared his throat, responding to their confused stares. What? Minoru raised an eyebrow, asking for an explanation. AI's smile twitched, a reflection of the bitterness she was feeling inside. Now, about the Tesla, here's the backstory. Minoru was a time traveler, and he wanted to invest in the company. However, in this universe, there was no Elon Musk. He had accumulated wealth while working as 001, but it came from a dark place, killing people. He felt the need to do something meaningful with that money, something like Tesla. However, without Elon, he faced an impossible task. Despite being an engineer in his previous life, he realized he couldn't achieve what Elon had without the same focus as he's a hitman. Everything changed when he met Eileen de Luxembourg, a striking red-haired girl in a plain dress, 7 years ago. She turned out to be a genius, and he started referring to her as Eileen Musk, mentally. That's why Minoru couldn't shake off this troublesome but necessary woman from his side, just as Eileen couldn't do without him. Apart from Tesla, he invested in numerous other companies and actively acquired shares during the US monetary crisis. If you're wondering where his money is now, most of it is parked in a Luxembourg bank, thanks to Eileen's tax-free privilege. This is also why he's always so busy, working day and night. But now, all that sweat and grind was finally starting to bear fruit, and he didn't feel guilt at all about providing for his family with this clean cash. It's been 2 years since the Model S. And we finally managed to release this new model. Minoru thought as he looked at his skeptical wife. And that's the story of how he became filthy rich. Hey, quit daydreaming when I'm talking to you. Anyhow, don't buy any more cars, got it? Ugh, boys. She sighed but continued in a softer tone. Got it. Listen, Minoru-kun. I get it, this is your money, and I trusted that you've moved all of this to Japan. But I want you to think more about our children's future. So, please, save more money, okay? This lifestyle isn't sustainable, you know. Copy that. AI smiled at him, planting a kiss on his left cheek. Can he ever confess that he's still a billionaire despite all these cars? Yet, he simply nodded in response. Well, I know she's not a gold digger. Even though she's tasted the good life, she hasn't changed a bit. Should I just tell them where I got the money? He thought for a moment. He'd never flaunted his riches like this with her before. And Minoru had gained some insights into AI's down-to-earth way of life, which contrasted with his flashy one. Maybe she'd been putting money aside for the twins and sacrificing her desires all along. Sigh, don't worry about the money. By the way, you've got my credit card, right? AI smiled and nodded, retrieving it from her bag. At that moment, the twins were taken aback. A B-black card. Ruby exclaimed but quickly clamped her mouth shut. Her parents raised their eyebrows as they turned to her. Ruby, do you know what this is? AI asked. I don't. It just looks cool, that's all. Ruby managed to explain. Aqua was visibly relieved, and it seemed toddlers like them were blissfully unaware of the complexities of money. Minoru beamed with pride. As my sweet daughter mentioned, he re-engaged them, there's no limit to it. If you want something, just grab it all. Unlimited. AI looked puzzled since she'd never used a credit card before. Minoru nodded, glancing at his watch. 7:46 a.m. I should go, he said as he planted a kiss on AI's forehead. Then, he knelt before Ruby, embracing her just like he had with her mommy. He shot a glance at Aqua. What? Don't tell me I have to do the same to you. His grin dripping with mockery. Nah. Don't worry about it. I'm good. Aqua wasn't thrilled about getting affection from a guy, even if it was his old man, Minoru. Minoru chuckled and poked Aqua's forehead. Hold up, it felt like he had just triggered a red flag. Okay, I'll help you get these pets into the trunk. Minoru said, picking up the rabbit cage and the owl cage. He headed for Miyako's new car. Ah, thanks. Let's get going too, right? AI said, with the twins nodding in agreement. Man, I wish I could see my kids there. Anyway, Aqua, you already know what Hedwig can do, right? Minoru inquired. Ah, she's obedient and tame. Aqua glanced at the snowy owl. Oh. It's pet day, isn't it? AI was thrilled about today's kindergarten special day. Kya! I'm so excited to see them all dressed up in cute costumes. AI exclaimed, walking beside Ruby and holding her hand. Minoru gestured toward the car's trunk, and it opened automatically, albeit with a personal and annoyed kick as he couldn't see his adorable Ruby in a bunny-hooded costume. I'll be leaving school early since I'm still acting in the director's drama. So. Aqua said, a hopeful expression in his eyes. But there was another, more personal intention driving him. I'll find that man, no matter what. Oh, it's okay, Aqua. Don't push yourself too hard, Kagaya. AI reassured Aqua, patting his head. Minoru's annoyance had turned into excitement, and he playfully slapped his son's back, mentally noting that he'd have a talk with him after his important business was done. Miyako emerged from the car, looking bewildered about various things regarding her new vehicle. Sensing her approach, Minoru glanced at her. Yanagi-san, my apologies. Can I ask you a few questions about the car? Sure. After a brief check to help Miyako understand the car better, Minoru headed to his G-Wagon. I'm going now. Y'all have fun. He said, parting ways with them with a smile as he closed the car window. His mafia-looking SUV roared and then made its way to the basement exit. AI-san, we have some time before taking the kids to school. What should we do? Miyako asked. AI checked her phone. Ah, it's still 7:52. Since the school is so close to this apartment, we might get bored waiting at the kindergarten. Then, a mischievous idea crossed Miyako's mind. How about we pick up the president from Shinagawa Station? We might need him if we want to attend the pet day. It's risky if it's just us there. AI nodded seriously but with a hint of silliness, and she looked at the twins. She realized that Ruby was quieter than usual, more like an NPC than a named character. What's wrong, Ruby? Ruby flinched when called, then she saw her mama's worried expression and managed to smile a bit. And nothing's wrong, Mama. Ruby's okay. Of course, she was lying. It wasn't pet day she was concerned about, but that dance class right after this special one. Nevertheless, she was relieved that her parents wouldn't be able to see the next lesson after pet day. Ouch, come here, AI hugged her. Let's get in the car, alright? Oh. Check out the car door, Ruby. Isn't Papa's amazing? The passenger door opened like a falcon's wings, astonishing AI. However, Ruby was still anxious. The old me was terrible at dancing. I'm scared that I'll mess up again. She thought, glancing at Aqua. He was looking at her, deep in thought. When I think about it, I'm the only one here doing absolutely nothing. Ruby recalled AI was busy with her new project, Mia-iman helping her mama, and Yonajin seemed to be the busiest of all. Well, they were adults. But for Ruby, that seemed more like an excuse, as Aqua was busy with his drama acting, and he was turning 4 this Saturday, just like her. Ruby, or rather Serena, experienced a sense of worthlessness. She feared that her new family might, once again forsake her, as had happened in her previous life. Chapter 28, Chapter 25, The canon is about to begin. After 5 minutes, he pulled up to the secondary gate of Shuchiin Academy, which was meant for staff only. This school was massive, so he had to drive a bit further in. Man, this school is big, but it's still smaller than what I've seen before. Haha, it's bringing back memories. Although, I still can't get over people moaning like a slut when they taste my food. Damn, what a logic. Driving through the cherry blossoms outside the car window, he was transported back to his middle school days at Totsuki Culinary Academy, where he spent only 2 out of 3 semesters before dropping out. Yet, you guys heard the story. He had to rekindle his culinary skills because, in his previous life, he became an orphan at the age of 6 and ended up living under his grandpa's wing, who was a professional chef and owned his restaurant. His grandpa taught him a lot about cooking, but his talent stuck as a sous chef. Life had its twists and turns, and the future was unpredictable. In the end, he became an engineer while continuing to run his grandpa's restaurant. Sorry, Grandpa. I never did beat Gordon. But thanks to your teachings, I'm surviving in this world. Although this new body that, sounds weird. Call it new life, new potential. In this new life, at the age of 9, he needed to sharpen his culinary skills pronto. Dimitri agreed and sent 001 to Totsuki, as there was a mission to assassinate an American congressman by poisoning his food in a famous restaurant. Dimitri also had a keen interest in the underground culinary world. To cut a long story short, after 001 completed the mission without a hitch, he returned to the shadows, conquering the underground culinary scene under the alias, Nobody. Speaking of the underground culinary world, the famous chefs there never revealed their true identities. They always hid their faces with bandanas or masks and used aliases. These chefs weren't famous outside of the underworld, except if they chose to have another public persona, which they rarely did. Let's hope that old man Nakiri doesn't find me here. He grinned at the memory of Senseiman Nakiri trying to keep him at Totsuki Academy, but he'd dropped out anyway. He'd had nothing more to learn at Totsuki, and the old man knew it. So, he'd introduced him to someone who became his cooking mentor. His smile was gone from his lips as he recalled something. Wait, if I remember correctly, I was supposed to find a chef for an upcoming banquet, right? Ah, fuck. He parked the car, and when he stepped out onto the asphalt, he was greeted by the parking lot's changing scenery, from white to pink, signaling the cherry blossoms peak. Glancing to the west, he spotted a clock tower. Since the school placed the parking lot quite a distance from the main buildings, Minoru and the other teachers couldn't just stroll into the school directly from their cars. So, he had to walk a bit further. As he arrived at the main street connecting to the main gate and turned right, he beheld a large fountain featuring a statue of a man in traditional Japanese armor on a horse. This picturesque scene was complemented by the presence of the grand auditorium and the clock tower, all aligned to form a central axis. Still, no one's around at this hour. It was empty, but as he strolled along with a calm and steady pace, he spotted Ya waiting, gazing off into the distance. They hadn't made any prior arrangements, but he headed her way anyway. Dash. Why does it have to be this way? The teacher usually strolled in at 8:30, with the staff showing up earlier at 8. But today was a little different. See, teachers without heavyweight titles like principal or school affairs could roll in at 10, while the event kicked off at 11. Ugh, it's freezing out here. Ya muttered, her body shivering from the cold air. The thing was, she was pretty sure Minoru usually beat her to school. She even asked him once about his schedule for getting to school, and he said, I usually arrive around 7:45 am. So, she decided to wait for him before heading to the teacher's office since Minoru mentioned they were on the same team for school affairs. Did something happen to him? Maybe, he had a car accident. Worry not at her. Maybe he had died somewhere. She knew it because Minoru was the kind of person who took everything seriously. Anyway, where the hell is he? Ding, dang, dang, dong. The tower clock's bell seemed to ring endlessly, and Ya took it as a sign that more than an hour had gone by. It's already 8 o'clock. Hey! She grumbled, standing there for a good half hour. Minoru still hadn't shown up. Virese. Achoo! A sneeze burst out of her as she couldn't take it anymore. It was still bone-chilling, even though spring was supposedly here. Wait! Ya turned to the source of the voice, interrupting her musings, and there was Minoru, gazing at her with a touch of concern. "Oh, Yanagi-san. Good morning." A relieved smile broke across her face. But Minoru hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Good morning, buyer-san." He handed her a handkerchief. Ya tilted her head, puzzled, but accepted it and grabbed it with her right hand. Minoru could tell she wasn't quite aware. "I'm sorry, but..." He paused, hesitant to break it to her, but it had to be done. "Your snot is dripping." Ya went white as a sheet, then turned as red as a volcano about to erupt. Dante. Her eyes were spinning like crazy from embarrassment. "Kya, don't look!" she shouted, eyes squeezed shut. Minoru's eyes widened as he saw a slap coming from his right, and it was coming in hot. Barely dodging Ya's full-strength slap, he leaned back, poker face still intact. 2001. It had been a year since he wrapped up his training, and 001 was now on patrol duty in the desolate mountains, where the Ruska Bratvas camp called home. He strolled through the unforgiving Siberian wilderness like a true native, ignoring the biting cold and relentless winds. But this silver-haired young man had his sights set on the west, where he had to check various designated areas. As time ticked away, he reached the final checkpoint and decided to pay a visit to his usual cave hideout. However, his step suddenly came to a screeching halt. "What the?" He swiftly raised his AK-47, ready to defend himself. But as he lowered his rifle, grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Despite its emaciated appearance, it stood its ground, eyeing 001 with a mix of wariness, prepared to face this unexpected intruder. Upon closer inspection, 001 realized that the puppy was, in fact, the older sibling of a pack of 7, diligently guarding his 6 younger brothers and sisters. They cowered behind him, clearly afraid of the intruder. 001 decided to step out of the cave, showing he meant no harm, and retrieved an MRE, meal ready to eat, from his small bag as a peace offering. After some time, he retraced his steps back to his camp but couldn't help but hear the faint sound of paws following him. "What are you guys doing, tailing me like this?" The pack of 7 puppies trailed behind him, their eyes filled with gratitude for the meal that had saved them from hunger. And that's how he found his most loyal allies and became part of a new, unexpected family. Back to the present. 8:01 a.m., April 1, 2014. Lloyd had just touched down at Tokyo Airport from Luxembourg. His objective was to report back to the Queen in person, despite her having granted him an extended vacation. "I'll head directly to the kindergarten to meet Anya. It's pet day, and they're having an outdoor class. After that, I'll ensure Her Highness's, Teresa, safety." He waved down a taxi. Upon reaching the vehicle, he instructed the driver on the destination. However, he couldn't help but worry about Anya. He hoped she'd behave well while staying with Teresa. Anya Forger was indeed living with Teresa. Today marked her last day in her apartment. As a princess, Teresa was aware of Lloyd's true identity as a spy. He had been her neighbor, and she knew about Anya. Today, Anya and Bond have an important mission. Hee. In the guest room, Anya stared at herself in the mirror with determination. Turning around, she met the gaze of a large dog she had brought with her from Luxembourg. Bond was no ordinary dog as he had the uncanny ability to foresee the future. "Agent Bond." "Borf." Anya smiled at his enthusiastic reply. "Today, we must defeat the first son to impress him. Hopefully, he'll take us to his house, and we can thank Bossman for sparing Shishi." "Borf." Bond agreed. She knew what was at stake and wanted to see Minoru to express her gratitude and affection, but she feared it might never happen. "Kakik." She giggled, feeling a rush of excitement. Just then, there was a knock on her door. "Anya-chan, are you ready for school?" Teresa's voice came from the other side. "We." When she opened the door, Teresa greeted her with a warm smile. Teresa then closed her eyes briefly and drifted into deep thought. "If I were to marry him, that means I'd get to experience this someday, right? Oni-san, boss man is already married." Seeing Teresa daydreaming, Anya couldn't help but overhear her thoughts and felt a bit sorry for her. "Teresa-sama." The soft voice interrupted Teresa and Anya's thoughts. Both of them turned to Alexandra, who stood there with a respectful bow. "The car is already waiting for us." "Thank you, Alec," Teresa replied with a smile. She then turned to Anya, Oni-chan will drop you off at school. Let's go, Anya-chan. Borf. Of course, Bond. You're coming with us today. Agent Bond. Anya said with a serious tone, he's now Agent Bond. Both Teresa and Alexandra smiled, deciding to play along. I understand, Agent Anya. Teresa winked at her, earning an enthusiastic response from Anya, yay. They made their way to the front door but were momentarily halted by an unusual sight. The atmosphere grew tense, and Bond quickly hid behind Anya, who stood with her mouth agape in shock. For Teresa and Alexandra, this was a common occurrence before leaving the apartment, and they patiently waited for a moment. 6 dogs, divided into 2 groups, formed a line in the corridor, resembling soldiers saluting their superiors. The last dog, the leader, sat near the front door with a serious expression, waiting. Good job. Alpha, Delta, Beta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, and Gamma. Teresa beamed and addressed them. The 7 dogs responded with a chorus of enthusiastic woof. They saluted with their trained right paws, leaving Anya even more awestruck. Anya also wanted these doggies too. Anya couldn't contain her admiration for the impressive dogs. Right from the start, she knew that these dogs belonged to 001, which sounded really waka waku. However, now, she found them even cooler than she had imagined. Anya glanced at Teresa and sensed her longing for the dog's owner. She could also sense a flush on Teresa's cheeks and decided to see what was going on. When will he take these dogs back? Teresa began to see that Yanagi-sensei couldn't be the owner, as the dogs didn't react to his photo. It means, he's not him. Anya turned her attention back to the serious dogs, their fluffy chests puffed out like disciplined soldiers. She couldn't understand their thoughts, but her telepathic ability allowed her to grasp their feelings. They miss Boss Man. Anya really sad. Anya decided to approach the dogs and gently pat each one on the head. It's all right, good doggy, good doggy. Teresa and Alexandra found it adorable but knew it was time to leave. All right, let's go, Anya-chan. Anya let out a sigh and proposed, can Anya bring them? I don't mind, but I'm concerned about the other pets. Teresa struggled to express it. However, Anya decided to read her thoughts anyway. I didn't want other pets to be intimidated by them since these dogs only listen to me. In the worst scenario, they might try to eat them because they're carnivores. Hoo-ha. Anya's imagination ran wild, fearing her classmates might become a doggie's dinner. With teary eyes, she said, Anya will just bring Bond to school. But can we let them watch anime? Teresa's smile reflected relief. Anya-chan is a good girl. Teresa praised and came up with an idea, Alec, please set up the TV so they can watch our school's event, live. I understand, Teresa-sama. Alexandra replied, setting up the TV as requested. Anya continued to watch Teresa closely. This way, maybe I can see their reaction if somehow they see Yanagi-sensei on TV. Anya, realizing Teresa's plan, had her mouth agape. Oh no. Anya's idea will expose Bossman's identity. But then, she detected Bond's ability to predict future events. They look happy. Anya had a vision of the 7 dogs happily watching a screen with Minoru on it. However, the dogs suddenly began barking loudly at the TV and rushed to the front door, but they couldn't open it as Alexandra had locked it. In her vision, she also saw a clock tower displaying 10:30 and chaos unfolding at the school. Despite Minoru's efforts to prevent it, the chaos seemed inevitable. "No! Anya cried out and rushed towards Bond. Bond! Show me more! Let me see it again! Bond's head spun as she shook him vigorously. Teresa-sama, I set up the TV as you requested. Thank you, Alec. Alright then. Teresa walked over to Anya and gently tugged her. Let's go, Anya-chan. Anya cried as she didn't want to leave. No! Anya has an important mission to do. Teresa guided her to the front door, followed by Alexandra, who maintained a professional demeanor. The 7 dogs saluted as Teresa passed by. Alpha, with his method, opened the door handle, and Teresa smiled at the familiar sight. Thank you, Alpha. Woof. Time passes. My mission. In the luxury sedan, Anya stared blankly at the car's ceiling, determined to continue her mission. That's right. Anya won't give up easily. Anya will gather other agents for this mission. With unwavering determination, she clenched her tiny fists. She was resolute in her commitment to helping Minoru, no matter the cost. Chapter 29, Chapter 26, Show Me. On a brisk spring morning, the air was tinged with a chill, but the scene under the cherry blossoms was nothing short of beautiful. Two figures stood by the side of the brick road, Yo bowing her head deeply again and again in Minoru's direction. I'm sorry, Yanagi-san. Did you get hurt somewhere? Yo's voice quivered with concern, haunted by what had transpired earlier. She couldn't shake the guilt for almost slapping him senseless. I'm fine, don't worry about it. Minoru assured her, feeling a tinge of guilt himself. Yo had been waiting for him for quite some time, but he had been dealing with his wife, and as a result, his schedule had slipped through his fingers. Are you sure you're okay? Yo nodded. I'm all right. Minoru couldn't help but notice a long snot sticking out as she spoke confidently. His mind commented on it, but he wisely refrained from mentioning it. He'd learned from history and had no desire to avoid another slap. As an apology, I'll treat you to a drink. Don't worry. It was my mistake, Yanagi-san. Mistake? About what? I also wanted to invite the student council to izakaya after this event is over. What? I guess that's a great idea. Suddenly, Yo's face lit up. Minoru seemed to suspect that she might be a rather heavy drinker, or maybe not. Minoru nodded, though he felt the weight of people's gazes upon him as he was sensitive to the scrutiny. Man, they're still testing me. Today marked as his first test if he wanted to continue holding the vital school affairs position, an essential part of his mission. It wouldn't be an easy endeavor. I felt someone's gaze. Ye, too, couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched by someone. Briar-san. Minoru looked at her as he captured Yo's attention. I just wanted to remind you that the CEO and others are still closely monitoring our performance as the school affairs. Well. He paused and sighed, it's not that I personally want this position permanently, but I'm not the kind of person to do a job half-heartedly either. Therefore, as we're in the same boat, I hope you can lend me your hand for a month. He was lying, but his demeanor convinced Ya and igniting a fire in her eyes. What should I do? He trusts me this much even though. She clenched her fist with determination. Of course. I'll assist with everything I can, Yanagi-san. Yo's enthusiasm brought a smile to Minoru's face. I appreciate that, thank you. Shall we go now? She released her spirited fist and smiled warmly. Yet. The new teachers began to walk side by side. However, their actions didn't go unnoticed by the onlookers who had been observing them for a while. The high school building sat atop a hill, affording Henry a clear view through his office window as he observed the two figures below using his classic golden binoculars. He was genuinely impressed by their bond. It seems like they already have excellent chemistry as a team. Henry nodded as his secretary diligently wrote his words as he spoke. We're quite fortunate to have such elegant new teachers this year, don't you think so? Chibashira-sensei. Henry turned his attention to Sae. Yes, we are indeed fortunate, sir. She replied, maintaining her flawless composure, though inwardly she seethed. Damn it! That man again, and again. In recent days, Minoru had become the school's shining star, consistently excelling in his duties and even solving the Ishigami-yu case in record time. Sae found it increasingly challenging to secure the principal position if Minoru continued to outshine her. But, sir, we still need to assess his consistency and how he deals with students. Sae added, voicing her concerns. Henry appeared to appreciate her perspective, though he was already aware of it. As the CEO reminded us, it's our duty to evaluate Yanagi-sensei. The responsibility doesn't rest solely with me. Chibashira-sensei will also play a part as the vice principal. Henry pointed out. Sumuragi Rika had tasked him with testing Minoru's suitability for the role. I understand. Since Minoru had rejected her offer, she had no qualms about making his path here easier. Let's see. In her role as vice principal, Sae was well acquainted with Henry's personality. All she needed to do was wait for him to make a wrong move. More importantly, she needed Minoru to provoke Henry first. Well, since you've rejected me. No hard feelings, but I'll make sure you're out. Sae made her intent clear to crush him, in response to what had happened, signifying that they were both establishing themselves as not being friendly. On the other hand, Henry shifted his focus back to Minoru and Ya again. As they walked, Minoru abruptly halted in front of the grand water fountain, creating some distance between them and the statue of the school's founder atop his horse. In his customary fashion, Minoru paid his respects to the founder, Anya followed suit, showing her reverence for General Sumiragi. Internally, Minoru couldn't help but smirk, as he was aware that they had been watching him. HMMNN. Minoru glanced at Yui, who was blushing as she gazed at the general's sword. Her mind wandered to the countless battles he might have fought and the amount of blood on that sword. Meanwhile, Henry. Elegant. Henry gasped, sweat forming on his face as if he hadn't anticipated their actions. Incredibly elegant. Sir, what's happening? His secretary was taken aback by Henry's sudden enthusiasm, leaving her momentarily stunned. Did Yanagi-sensei and Briar-sensei always pay tribute to the school's founder like this? Henry turned back, his expression eliciting bewildered looks from his secretary and SAE as if he had gone mad. The secretary clears her throat. Ahem. According to our security camera footage. A large screen suddenly lit up, displaying video clips from when Minoru had come for the interview and during his subsequent days working as a teacher. He consistently showed his respect to the school's founder. What dedication! I see. Briar-sensei must be influenced by Yanagi-sensei's elegance. How cunning you are, Yanagi-sensei! Henry stopped himself, and cleared his throat, as he noticed SAE and his secretary looking at him as if saying, "You all right?" Chibashira-sensei. Yes, sir. Henry turned his gaze to SAE, his tone now serious. Let's subject our newly appointed head of school affairs to a little test. Minoru had successfully provoked Henry's sense of elegance, and nothing could deter him now, as he was eager to witness Minoru's grace in solving problems with elegance. Understood. Internally, SAE was pleased with this. She welcomed the chance to tarnish Minoru's otherwise impeccable record. 8:39 a.m. Inside the teacher's room, Minoru sat at his desk, typing away on his laptop. He wasn't alone in the room. Yanagi, why don't you try to relax like everyone else today? I'm starting to wonder if you've lost touch with your humanity. Hirotsuka Shizuka said with a shiver, clearly in awe, though bordering on being scared. Even though Shizuka was used to meeting Minoru on the school rooftop where he smoked, she had never seen Minoru let his guard down. Right now, she could see that his sharp eyes looked somewhat tired, but it somehow made him even more attractive. Senpai. I think it's a bit harsh to say that Yanagi-sensei isn't human. Nasa's remark managed to raise Shizuka's brow. I didn't say he's not human. I just mean that sometimes we all need a break, you know. She sighed. Well, I understand that, it's because of that guy. Everyone, I'm sorry. Nasa said, feeling responsible for Minoru's seemingly endless workload. I know I'm not able to help much because of the government subsidy. But it seems my expectations keep getting shattered by Yanagi-sensei's outstanding work. He laughed lightly. I suppose it's what you'd expect from an Oxford graduate. Shizuka took his words personally. I see, what a humble way to show off, hey? Yuzaki, how dare you flaunt your married life in front of me, hey? It was clear that Shizuka was seething, and Yuzaki turned pale in the face of her anger. You flatter me, Yuzaki-san. And thank you for your concern, Hirotsuka-san. Well, I just thought it's a good way to fill my time until the students arrive here. But the truth was, Minoru had already completed 60% of his work. The remaining 40% involved addressing individual student issues that could only be resolved through one-on-one meetings. Students. Shizuka and Nasa exchanged perplexed glances, trying to figure out who he was referring to. On the right side of Minoru, Yu's eyes lit up with understanding. She knew exactly what he meant. Oh. You must be talking about Shuchiin Middle School's student council. Yu chimed in with enthusiasm. Minoru nodded, closing all the apps on his laptop before shutting it down. In front of Yu's desk, Shizuka was eager to understand what all the fuss was about. What's going on with them? Nothing's wrong, Minoru reassured her. I just thought it would be a great idea for them to collaborate with us. I realized that our student council might struggle with a large number of guests. Shizuka and Nasa nodded in agreement, seeing the logic in Minoru's suggestion. And with this approach, Yu added, they will gain valuable experience in managing events with a large number of participants. The two of them chimed in with an understanding ooh. That's a fantastic idea. Honestly, why didn't the school think of this sooner? Minoru looked at Shizuka, recognizing her curiosity. It seems to be related to Lady Sumiragi, the academy owner, and her family's rules. They've maintained this rule of only the Shuchi and High Student Council being responsible for the welcome ceremony. I guess they've never changed it to preserve tradition. Minoru explained his theory, leaving Shizuka and Nasa pondering and a bit concerned, except for Yui, who maintained her smile. Doesn't that put you in a risky situation? Minoru's eyes squinted as he gave Shizuka a devilish grin, making her blush. Don't worry about it. They'll be a great asset to Shirogane and the others. I'm also relieved that the middle school faculty and their student council are happy with the idea. The CEO has given us the green light, as the rules remain, in fact, unchanged. What he meant was that the helpers were essentially free labor, but he phrased it more diplomatically. As the teachers continued their discussion, there was a knock on the teacher's room door, which soon slid open to reveal 3 female students. In the center stood a slim girl with long, dark hair adorned with a white hairband, braided in the back and extending past her shoulders. To her left, there was a girl with waist-length white hair, bangs swept to the left side, a pearly hairband, blue eyes and an ashen complexion. On her right was a girl with a sunny smile. She had short pink hair, tied up into twin pigtails at the top of her neck. Ahem. Please excuse us. The girl in the center appeared to have a social and confident carefree personality, or at least that's how Minoru perceived her as she walked in, moving her hand as if this place were Okinawa. Student Council President, Amanai Riko. Minoru briefly contemplated whether he should flick her head out of her nonchalant manner. In any case, these were none other than Shuchiin Middle School's Student Council. Chapter 30, Chapter 27, Persona. In the sprawling corridors of Shuchiin High School, where high ceilings and Gothic architecture lent a unique vibe to the surroundings, the atmosphere was unlike any other. The school's rich history, dating back to its founding, was evident in the aging building itself. As they strolled through the sunlit corridor, the trio, dressed in pristine white uniforms, appeared unfazed by the school's grandeur. They were the middle school student council visiting the high school division of the academy. I heard there's a rumor that Shuchiin High has a new teacher. The vice president, a girl with short pink hair tied up into twin pigtails, cheerfully announced, though her 2 companions seemed less interested. Why do you always get this kind of information, Moha? And the treasurer, a white-haired girl, politely inquired, not wanting to brush off her best friend. A mischievous glint in her eyes. Listen up, Kei-chan. I heard he's young, charismatic, handsome, and what I find intriguing is that he's rumored to be a bit scary. Kei sighed, well aware of Moha's sadistic tendencies. Oh, that teacher is the one we're about to meet right now. Kei's mind raced as she pieced together the puzzle. She rubbed her forehead and muttered, this might be why brother become more idiot. Ah, Kei-chan, you mean the student council president, Shirogane Miyuki. Yet. Suddenly, the girl in the center picked up her pace, forcing the other 2 to stop as she spread her arms wide, blocking their way. Guys! Riko said, looking intently at the 2 and clenching her right fist. Instead of gossiping about this new teacher, we should be more excited that we're making history at this school. Seeing the determination in her eyes, Kei and Moha exchanged worried glances. Riko was a social butterfly, often awkward, and sometimes a bit clueless, which was why they always looked out for her. Kei crossed her arms and said, Riko, please ensure you don't do anything embarrassing. Hey! Riko retorted, then smiled confidently. Have I ever done anything foolish? Don't worry, I'll remind you that I'm also the president of the student council. Seeing her laugh like an idiot, Kei and Moha exchanged glances. Undoubtedly, Riko was bound to do something silly. Afterward, Riko proceeded toward the teacher's room with a carefree attitude. This is embarrassing. 2x. Kei and Moha stood at the entrance, observing their idiotic president as if to say, I hope I never have to meet this person for the rest of my life. However, their attention soon shifted to a man who was eyeing Riko with a poker face before returning to his business. Kei and Moha exchanged glances, communicating through their eyes. No way, is that him? The teacher? I told you. Ah. You 3 must be from the student council, hey. Ya chimed in as she glanced at Riko, whose face beamed with pride, and then at Kei and Moha. I'm so glad Sensei asked for our help. Riko declared, her chest puffed out smugly. Behold! I am Amanai Riko, the student council president of Shuchiin Middle School. Kei and Moha exchanged embarrassed glances. Riko continued, her eyes closed, making numerous gestures as she seemed utterly absorbed in her speech. As the president, I graciously accepted this honor of being part of this special event. Our will. Our hearts. We're giving it our all. Yuzaki-san, you're a lucky man to have such a beautiful wife. Someone chimed in, causing Riko's ears to twitch in irritation. Ahaha. Oh well, please stop. By the way, can you give me some advice for my unborn kid? Minoru smiled as Nasa sought his advice on baby names. Sure, why not? Riko visibly blushed in embarrassment. She glanced at the silver-haired dude who was totally wrapped up in a convo with someone else, totally ignoring her. The reason was simple. When Riko had suddenly waltzed inside without care and launched into her out-of-place speech, Minoru was like, whatever, and went back to talking to Nasa. Hey! Listen to me. Minoru placed a wedding photo of Nasa and his wife on the table and glanced back at Riko. Ha. That's the reaction I expected. She turned even redder as she clenched her fists. Minoru sighed, meanwhile, I appreciate your excitement. When you waltz into the teacher's room like that and start a speech, it's common sense that no one will do that, except maybe an idiot. Riko's face grew even redder, and to make matters worse, she could hear Kei and Moha giggling on the side. WWH what? I'm not an idiot. I'm student council president, Amani Riko. And who is this Kamo HMMMPH? Once again, she reacted comically and amusingly. Minoru thought of her as if she were an angry cat whose tail had been stepped on. But before she could say something that might escalate things, Kei and Moha quickly covered her mouth. Please pardon our president, sensei. They both bowed, forcing Riko to bow as well. Minoru didn't mind it since they weren't his students. All right, there's still some time left before our brief meeting starts. You three can go to the student meeting room. I believe the others have already arrived. Understood, sensei. 2x. HMMMPH. HMMPH. Wait a minute. Who is this guy to tell us what to do? Hush, President. Please, stop. You said we'd make history, right? Don't ruin it by picking a fight with sensei. Kei struggled to restrain her as she hadn't expected any of this when she came here. Hey, Kei-chan, should we just tie her up before she gets out of hand? Moha chimed in, her innocent expression belying her sadistic nature. HMMMPH. Let go. Riko was all mixed up with embarrassment and confusion, she couldn't quite grasp the situation. She stole a glance at the man who seemed too young to be a teacher and was the source of her current predicament. Shizuka couldn't help but giggle at the sight. Yanagi-sensei. Yet. When Shizuka addressed him as sensei, Riko abruptly stopped her struggle, shocked to discover that the silver-haired man she had been pestering was, indeed, a teacher. From what I see, you seem to be bullying them. Minoru let out a small sigh, do I look like a villain? He narrowed his eyes slightly, making her heart race. Now that I think about it. Shizuka gave him a good look. You kinda give off that vibe, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? She shot a pleading gaze at Ya and Yuzaki, who reluctantly nodded, understanding her silent request for assistance. Crap. He's really attractive, darn it. What should I do? Shizuka's inner voice panicked. Alright, I get it. Sigh, I'm sorry, okay. After Riko conceded, she decided not to press the matter any further. She shot Minoru an annoyed pout, who in turn glanced back at the trio still present there. You can go, he said with an undertone that made the three of them flinch. Yes, they stammered in unison. However, as they tried to exit the room, a thunderous growl busted the silence, making things super awkward. Moha's jaw dropped, while Riko shot Kei a quizzical look. Kei, blushing like mad, clutched her stomach, her eyes spinning in circles. Ugh! My stomach is growling so loudly. I can't help it because I haven't eaten anything, and I can smell something delicious in this room. Kei? What's wrong? I just need to go. Kei began to make an excuse, but her embarrassment intensified as Minoru walked over to her group. Moha blushed intensely in response to his intimidating presence. Hey! Don't come any closer. Riko comically adopted martial arts stances. Minoru didn't take her seriously, considering her a bit of an oddball. Here, It's sandwiches. Eat them. The three were left dumbfounded as Minoru handed Kei a lunchbox. Kei attempted to decline. Sensei, I'm not hungry, I just need to use the bathroom. Her stomach growled so loudly it shut her up, and Minoru was like, whatever. Just be sure to share with everyone else. Minoru didn't want her to get sick or pass out, no one will get in my way. As she was part of the team, he wanted the day to go perfectly. Kei thanked him with a slightly flushed face, watching Minoru walk away. The three of them eventually made their way to the students' meeting room. Moha said he's a scary teacher, right? I think that's wrong. Kei couldn't help but wonder as she gripped the lunchbox in her hand. Moha and Riko exchanged knowing glances, suspecting something had gone down with Kei. They were also curious about what kind of delicious-smelling food it was. He's a good man. Yay, Shizuka and Yuzaki agreed, recognizing Minoru's kind-hearted nature hidden behind his somewhat usual cold exterior toward students. Meanwhile, Ya and Shizuka had an idea when they saw Kei with the lunchbox, even though their cooking skills were terrible. But this whole scene didn't go unnoticed by Henry, Sae, and Secretary Chan, who were watching everything on the big screen. He's sacrificing his lunch and giving it to the students. What's more, he's protecting her feelings and not pushing her about why she lied. What a gentleman! When Henry got up and his fancy cane made that clacking sound on the floor, he nodded with an elegant dance, smart. Smart and elegant. Damn it, Yanagi! Henry couldn't contain his admiration, and Secretary Chan wondered if he had forgotten to take his medicine. Sir, isn't it a bit overboard, watching him like th? Silence. Elegance is tradition. Elegance is what makes the world beautiful. Only those with grace can occupy that position, and it should be someone of elegance. Henry gritted his teeth as he regretted many things, including his inability to do anything about the parasite named Murdoch Swan. He acknowledged Minoru's recent work, but he vowed to uncover Yanagi-sensei's true character and never repeat past mistakes. I'll tear off that mask of yours and see what kind of person you are, Yanagi-sensei. Henry declared as he stared at the screen. Chibashira-sensei, let's proceed with our plan. Sae nodded in agreement, eager to see Minoru fail in this crucial event. Chapter 31, Chapter 28, Shinomiya Kaguya. A little flashback. As day turned into night, after Minoru scolded her, Kagaya proceeded with her plan to get back on her feet and restore her name in front of that teacher. Yeah, you got a point. There's this saying that in a war, the one with the most info on their opponent comes out on top. So, she went all in, did another round of digging into Yanagi's background, and got the lowdown on who the hell Yanagi Minoru really was. It's not just a petty revenge. Of course, she also had pride and wouldn't allow anyone to do something like that, but it was also important. She feared that her family would hear that a teacher scolded Shinomiya because she made a mistake, and that mistake could lead her to hell. With that, Kagaya needed something to make Minoru shut his mouth. Somehow, Yanagi-sensei gave me the impression of a person who never would take advantage of something like that. But, it's just a safety measure. Kagaya contemplated, with a young maid named Hayasaka Ai standing beside her. Are you done monologuing, Kagaya-sama? Stop ruining my thoughts, Hayasaka. Anyway. The girl in the maid uniform handed Kagaya a lot of paper, and she began to look at it carefully. She had just come back from her investigation in the UK, where it seemed Yanagi Minoru lived, or rather where James Moriarty spent most of his time. With our informant and my own intel, I couldn't find any flaws in his record. It all seems real. Is there something special about his adoptive family? No. They're not from noble or royal families, but it's still a good and normal family, though not that well off either. The adoptive father, Lancaster Moriarty, couldn't have children, so he adopted Yanagi Minoru. 10 years after the adoption, the father died because of cancer. That's unbelievable. Tisk, why should I even care, Kagaya massaged her forehead as she stared back at Hayasaka. Kagaya noticed Hayasaka seemed to think that she wasn't her usual self, yet Kagaya didn't care as her focus was on Minoru. Then, how about his degree? Yes, it's all valid and not a fabrication. Besides, he was quite popular with girls. And that popularity also applied to the professors. The fact he was once a substitute for some lectures. What? Kagaya frowned, and Hayasaka sighed at her. Please let me finish. For the record, I've seen his video lecture, and don't ask me cause I don't understand his lecture at all. My honest thought? I think, it was quite hard to believe since he's not even an Oxford professor, but he's been called Professor Moriarty there. After his graduation, rumors circulated that he'd continue his lectures. But then, no one knows where he is, as he disappeared like it was nothing for him. Shortly, we found him here, becoming a teacher at Shuchiin. Also, about his motive, Yanagi-sensei claims he wants to gain some experience. I dunno. Kagaya placed the sheets on the table, then tapped her finger as she thought. These intel say he never had a college life. Did you find out whether he had close people around him? There should be someone. Yeah, there is. I reckon. Hayasaka handed her another identity sheet. There's a rumor going around that he's gay because he never hits on girls. And, there's another rumor, not confirmed yet, about the kind of relationship he has. It's all based on circle gossip. Luckily, I believe that Kagaya-sama met her once when you visited the US ambassador. Kagaya furrowed her brows, looking at the blonde. Angelina Kyoto Shields. That genius detective? So, Yanagi-sensei has a connection with the CIA. Hayasaka shrugged. Well, that's just what I heard. But what's she doing with him, considering they have different majors? Kagaya leaned back, visibly tired. The real question is whether it even matters. If this so-called Professor Moriarty is a big deal, we, the Shinomiya family, would know about him. Either we'd leverage his worth, or he's just too good at hiding things. Anyway, this intel hasn't taken us anywhere. Ugh, but he does suspicious man. I agree. More importantly, Kagaya-sama, can I ask something? Kagaya hummed, a signal to go ahead, as she opened her notebook and started jotting something down. Her expression remained cold and distant. If I remember correctly, this is your first time meeting him. And you seem to have a grudge? Or did you somehow shift your focus away from Shirogane Miyuki? Though I can tell this superhuman-looking teacher is even tougher than the president. Hayasaka knew they often discussed plans to make Shirogane Miyuki yield because Kagaya found it amusing to toy with him. However, since Minoru scolded her, her focus had shifted. Huh? You misunderstood, Kagaya sighed. As a Shinomiya, it's necessary for me to be wary of people around me. You know that my brother has a bounty on my head, right? As for the president, what do you take me for? I don't see him as a man, he's just a friend. Hayasaka looked at Kagaya, realizing she was serious. It was the first time Kagaya took someone this seriously, as if she were dealing with a family member. There was no need to probe further, something must have happened. Then what about my other question? Does Kagaya-sama like Yanagi-sensei? Kagaya frowned. Are you kidding me? If you say so, I understand. Anyway, Kagaya-sama, the more I learn about Yanagi-sensei, the more he seems like my type. Sigh, just kidding. Are you sure you don't like him? And could you stop with the glaring eyes? Stop that, Hayasaka. Before I'm done with him, don't do anything weird. Understand? Anyway, I want you to do exactly what I tell you. Hey. Don't give me that look, Hayasaka. Hayasaka sighed, a lazy expression on her face. Can she catch a break? Her face said she just got here, and now she had to gather intel on this new teacher. Knowing her personality, Kagaya wouldn't let someone who crossed her path slip away, she'd do whatever it took to get what she wanted. Despite that, Hayasaka was also curious about Yanagi-sensei and was looking forward to it. Yes, Kagaya-sama. 4 days had passed since then, and nothing had happened. Sigh, I thought I had a chance to talk with him, even just randomly. But, he's not that interested. Kagaya stared at the billboard. The place was close to the teacher's room, making it convenient for announcements. She glanced at the list of classes. 2A. But who's the homeroom teacher assigned to my class? Kagaya wondered if he was the one, or maybe not. Either way, she had already seen this billboard when she arrived, and her bag was safely stowed in her classroom. So, what was she doing here? Just then, she heard someone sliding the door. I'm going first. Yanagi. Wait. A silver-haired man in a sharp black suit closed the door, ignoring the pleas of helpless Shizuka. As Hayasaka said, he was popular, and Kagaya was well aware of it. Kagaya could feel the man's steps gradually getting louder as he walked toward her. Shinomiya. Minoru looked at the girl's back. Her loose black hair moved like a wave even though Kagaya had only turned her head. Then her gaze turned to Minoru completely. "Ah, good morning, sensei," she said with an icy face. "I didn't see Briar-sensei today with you. She'll catch up later." "Is that so?" Kagaya thought this might be a good chance to walk together, but she refrained from saying it out loud. Moreover, Minoru never seemed to put much interest in her as he only visited the student council room to check on them, and that was it. And that poker face. Well, he did smile at me once. Maybe he's smiling because of Teresa? Or am I ruining his mood? Kagaya also wondered why Minoru's poker face seemed hard to melt, like iron. "Are you done looking at me like that?" Kagaya snapped from her thoughts. "Ah, I'm sorry for my rudeness." Minoru never forced himself to smile when the other person wasn't smiling. "Just look at her." Kagaya's face was always as cold as ice, and Minoru prevented himself from being friendly. He shook his head internally and started walking to the student meeting room. And Kagaya walked slightly behind him, peeking at his back. "Did you want to say something?" Minoru felt her gaze and asked. Kagaya tilts her head. "Aira, aren't you being overconfident?" Kagaya smirked a little, somehow happy that he started the conversation. "I never wanted to talk or something like that." He could somehow see her smug face, even though he wasn't looking at it, she was enjoying her time. Kagaya said, "How cute," in Russian, and, of course, in a very low voice so he wouldn't hear that. "Cute? Me? Thank you for the compliment." "What the?" he heard her mumble, and more importantly, Kagaya's smile cracked as Minoru responded back in Russian. She just wanted to bolt, find a hole to hide in, and Kagaya could legit die from embarrassment. Hey Asaka. You never mentioned he speaks Russian." Kagaya cursed. Please forget what just happened." And it was just sarcasm, not something like a compliment. Minoru chuckled, finding it amusing, and also found something intriguing about her personality acting tough, cold, and dishonest. It was exactly like that airhead. Minoru complimented her on her Russian skills, though her Japanese accent was still there. Kagaya's icy face melted a bit as she blushed a little. Thank you." She also didn't reply in Russian because of how embarrassing it was back then. "Did sensei just?" Kagaya glanced back at Minoru. "He's finally smiling." As she walked a little behind him, she only saw his side, but Minoru was clearly smiling and giggling. Somehow, Kagaya regretted not keeping up with his pace. Anyway, wasn't Kagaya the winner of today's battle? "Shit, this place is way too big." Minoru complained as he wished the room was nearby. He could feel his backside wound was quite painful and annoying after all. It was a bullet wound, and he didn't use painkiller drugs. What? What are you doing here?" As they were about to enter the student meeting room, someone shouted in disbelief. Glancing at the source, Minoru and Kagaya saw Maki pointing her finger at Minoru. "Fuck, give me a break." Minoru somehow didn't like the timing. And she was none other than the girl he was with when that cursed airline almost crashed thanks to a group of assassins. Well, they finally met again. Chapter 32, Chapter 29, Brief Meeting. Weeks passed, and her father, concerned for her safety, forbade her from leaving their family mansion. That day, she hadn't overheard the conversation between Minoru and his father, Shijo Makoto, thanks to the knockout effect of the juicy sleeping snacks. Later on, Maki was informed about Minoru's wish. However, Maki was truly crazy by the fact that Minoru didn't seem to want to reach out to her or something. Right now, she found herself incessantly complaining to her best friend, Kashiwagi Nagisa, about Minoru's behavior. As Maki walked through the corridor, annoyance edged on her face. Little did she know that she was about to encounter the person she had been thinking about for the rest of her holiday. Maki-chan. Don't tell me that Maki cut off her friend Nagisa before she could speak. Silence, Nagisa. Hey you. Maki said, brimming with enthusiasm. Minoru's poker face twitched as she called him you. Did she not know he was a teacher? It was similar to Kagaya, who thought Maki was being rude. It's like she knows him. Wait. That's it. Judging by her personality, Maki should never act like this. Then why? Kagaya narrowed her eyes a bit when Maki finally stopped an inch from Minoru. I said, what are you doing? Minoru simply showed her his teacher ID. Hey? Teacher? Is this a joke? I'm not. And you're too close. She stepped back hastily. Hey. Don't misunderstand. It's not like I'm happy to see you again or something. I don't think that way either. He smiled a bit. Are you okay now? How's your injury? He got straight to the point. Yeah. Maki paused a bit and knew what he meant. I am okay now. Thanks. Minoru nodded. Good then. Flight 237. It was the airplane cruising from Paris to Tokyo, the very same flight that carried Minoru and the daughter from Shijo Corporation, Shijo Maki. Thanks to her family's influence, they managed to keep the lid on Minoru's presence on that plane, officially stating that Maki's bodyguard was handling everything. Yet, Minoru thought this cover-up paled in comparison to the conspiracy he was entangled in. Seeing his subtle smile, Maki's eyes widened, and she involuntarily gasped. Like I said, don't mock me. I'm not heartbroken. Ugh. How many times do I have to say that I'm perfectly fine? Her face turned as red as a tomato, and with each frustrated stomp of her feet, the room seemed to echo with her exasperation. Okay, just calm down, all right. Did she misunderstand something here? Minoru pondered, thinking he was asked because he understood the challenge of overcoming trauma in life and death situations. Yet, her reaction was more amusing than he had anticipated. He needn't worry about that. HMMPH. Don't underestimate me. I'm perfectly calm. Right, Nagisa? Maki crossed her arms. Nagisa, the girl with short, dark brown hair, visibly flinched under Minoru's gaze. I think, you're talking too fast and furious. So, no. I'm not. And hey. I thought you were on my side, Nagisa. Maki felt betrayed. Meanwhile, as the trio exchanged heated words, Kagaya observed in silence. Is this really Maki that I knew? Seeing their dynamic, it became evident that Minoru and Maki shared a close bond. Kagaya realized Shinomiya's information-gathering skills were lacking, unaware that Shijo Maki and Minoru already had a history. But what is this? I feel like I'm left behind and know nothing. Meanwhile, Maki is acting as if she's known him for a long time. A twinge of irritation twisted Kagaya's stomach, especially as she noticed Minoru's smile. It felt like a defeat. Feeling a menacing gaze, Maki fixed her intense stare on Kagaya, and Maki was annoyed with her penetrating red eyes. It's been a while, Aunt Kagaya, Maki smirked. Minoru thought, interesting. Two daughters of the strongest family meet like this. Well, I don't care, but it'll be good for me to observe their personalities. This was the perfect time to gather information. There are families called Zaibatsu that have been established since the Meiji era. And the strongest among them is Shinomiya. Shijo is actually the little brother of Shinomiya who shares the same lineage. If Shinomiya is likened to England, then Shijo is the United States. But, in reality, they hate each other and are currently engaged in an intense business battle. Maybe they sound more like the Manchester United and Manchester City of Japan. Kagaya ignored Maki's provocation. Sensei, I'm afraid it's almost time that we should start our meeting, Kagaya said, and Maki's mind raced. This player. Why is Kagaya with him? And what meeting? Maki couldn't ignore the unease with Kagaya's presence from the Shinomiya family, the source of her troubles. Minoru sighed. The situation could spiral out of control, but the intrigue of observing their personalities further was too tempting. Kagaya remained calm, even after Maki's provocation. As he glanced at his surroundings, other students pretended not to pay attention, but their overly obvious acting betrayed their curiosity. You're right. He locked eyes with Maki. If there's nothing more to say. Wait, Maki said, turning away from Kagaya as she fumbled with her phone. Give me your contact. She pouted at him, upset that Minoru seemed eager to escape. Why? And is this the act when someone asks for a contact? Maki visibly wanted to burst, her expression screaming, it's you who should correct that kind of behavior. It's for school stuff. Why yet? Arg. Stop it. Just scan my barcode. Minoru's face looked like, I'm not using line. He said, and Maki froze awkwardly, displaying her phone screen for nothing. Haha, you're a newspaper type of person. I almost forgot about that. Here's my email. And call me sensei from now on. With that, Minoru entered the room. After Minoru's indifference, she grumbled inwardly. He's drawing a line. Ugh, not like I give a hoot about that player, but Dad's cool with it. Hold up. She shot back at Kagaya, who was eyeing her curiously. What? Maki narrowed her eyes. Kagaya hummed, a sly grin forming. You two acquainted from before? Huh? Do I have to spill the tea on that? Kagaya's smile widened like a crescent moon. Well, I don't care. Though she totally did. By the way, I've heard that Shijo Corporation is in the process of merging with a French bank. It seems your overseas endeavors haven't met with any setbacks. I'll take that as a compliment. Also, the Shinomiya ears are always something else. Sidestepping Kagaya, Maki avoided getting too cozy with the Shinomiyas still on guard. Kagaya, too, strolled toward the room, shooting an icy glare at the nosy eavesdroppers. 9:13 a.m. Inside the student meeting room, the seats were arranged in a U shape. Minoru sat between Ya and Shizuka, with each member of the student council on their left and right. The brief meeting progressed smoothly, focusing on coordinating efforts for an upcoming event. The purpose of the meeting was to ensure seamless guidance for all academy students, ranging from elementary to high school divisions. Additionally, parents of freshmen were expected to attend and accompany their children. I believe we don't have to worry about technical issues here since the student council did good work in the last few days. Good job. Minoru said, shooting a glance at the Shuchian High Student Council, who all nodded in agreement. He then shifted his focus to the Shuchian Middle Student Council. Do any of you have questions? Riko hummed, a thoughtful expression on her face. The three of us are still kinda confused about our roles. Enlighten me, sensei. Riko forced herself to call him sensei. Minoru nodded. You three will be stationed at the Shuchian main gate, ushering freshmen's family to the auditorium. Meanwhile, Team Shirogane will handle things inside. If something crops up that's beyond you, give the teacher in charge a heads up, and either Briar sensei or I will swoop in. Riko, Kei, and Moha nodded in understanding. But, predictably, Riko couldn't resist a protest. Wait a minute. Isn't that too easy? Minoru sighed. Confidence is good, Amani. Shut up. Riko blushed, hissing at him and crossing her arms. Ignoring the outburst, Minoru turned to Shirogane and the others, throwing the question, any other thoughts? Chika eagerly raised her hand. Sensei, how about using radios for better communication? She said cheerfully. Minoru could somehow see flowers flying from her personality, as he mentally felt those flowers bouncing into his face. Ya nodded. We'll use the school's radios. Luckily, they're the easy-to-use earpiece type. Yay! Chika exclaimed. I've got an idea. What if we all had code names then? No, Minoru shot down the suggestion. It's just a waste of time, Fujiwara. Muhu. Chika pouted. Even though I really enjoy your sandwiches, Yanagi-sensei is no fun at all. Yo. Kagaya was taken aback by that. Sandwiches. Kagaya stared at Chika, confused. That's right, Kagaya-san, Chika said cheerfully. Kei-chan handed out sandwiches from Yanagi-sensei, and they're so good that I eat too. Kagaya's face darkened as she observed Chika's cheerful expression. A human-shaped cow, a manifestation of men's desires, surviving solely on the sustenance provided by others, with all nutrients directed straight to filling your chest rather than your brain, what a despicable being. I'll never forgive you, Fujiwara-san. If something unfortunate were to happen to you, I wouldn't lift a finger to rescue you either. Kagaya thought darkly, harboring a genuine desire to harm Chika. At least snag a sandwich for me, damn it. I want Minoru's sandwiches too. Guilty, damn it. Miyuki sensed an underlying tension and looked at Kagaya. Her gaze conveyed that she didn't see Chika as human, more like an insect. She must think that sensei's sandwiches are inferior in her taste. No doubt. I should be careful not to eat my bento in front of her later. Miyuki resolved, vowing not to let Kagaya catch a glimpse of his humble lunch. Ah, I think I remember something. Ha! Shizuka let out a long sigh. We might have a big problem with the Yakuza. Yakuza? Kei looked puzzled. Oh, it must be Ichijo Raku, Miyuki recalled. Shizuka nodded, that's right. They always make a fuss every morning with a large convoy just because they want to escort Ichijo Raku. What a bunch of bastards. I hate it every time they cause a huge mess. I know they just want to show off. Anyhow, I'm afraid they'll start a riot and create a traffic jam. Shizuka bangs the helpless table. Riko jumped from her seat. That's not cool at all. Don't worry, sensei. I'll make them know their place. She clenched her fist with fire in her eyes. That's vital information. Thank you, Minoru said, regaining their attention. One more thing. I expect teamwork from all of us here. I repeat, teamwork. He paused. If something goes wrong, don't make a reckless move and call us, the teachers. I don't want to see any of you doing something dangerous for a silly reason. Minoru spoke with a deep voice, and they could feel the gravity of his intention, not wanting the students to get hurt. Understand? The students said yes nervously as he asked, and then Minoru looked at Amanai. Amanai, Minoru said, doubted. What? And stop looking at me as if I'm the source of all problems. Anyway, don't do anything stupid with the Yakuza. If they act up, report it. Cool. Riko just sat there in silence, thinking, haha, as if I would do that. When she nodded with an obvious lie on her face, Kei and Moha knew exactly what she would do next. Meanwhile, Ya and Shizuka wondered if she was actually his little sister, considering how she acted. The meeting wrapped up, and Minoru gleaned some insights about Kagaya. Turns out, she's a super shy person, and her pride keeps her from speaking her mind. Minoru mulls this over as he watches Ya set up the radio frequency. Shirogane, Minoru calls out to the person with the long white hair. Why yes, sensei. They stammer, clearly surprised. Oops, he forgot there were two Shirogans in the room. I mean, the little sister, he corrects himself, and Kei hurries over as her older brother starts sweating bullets. What does he want from Kei-chan? Don't tell me. Miyuki's pride as the older brother takes a hit. The other students in the room share the same confusion. Why did he call her personally? What's going on? Is he hitting on her? Kei hums shyly, is there anything I can help with? Oh, and thanks for the sandwiches, sensei. I'll remember your kindness. Kei avoids eye contact, still embarrassed about her loud stomach earlier. Thanks for the sandwiches, sensei. Chika chimes in. It's delicious, thank you. Next time I'll do the same, Moha added, though it wasn't clear what she meant. It was good, but don't get carried away. Riko warned, pointing her finger at Minoru. I also enjoyed the sandwiches, sensei. I hope we're not bothering you, Miyuki adds. Kagaya stares at the floor in silence, and everyone wonders what he's going to say to her. The vibes around them were also pretty cute. Darn it. It should have been me. Shizuka stands nearby, feeling jealous but confident that Minoru doesn't see middle school students as love interests, right? Don't think about it. Can I have my lunchbox back? Minoru surprises everyone with his request. Seriously, this guy is having a rom-com moment, but all he cares about is his lunchbox? If I lose it, I will beat my poor ass. Minoru thinks, only to discover it belongs to his wife all along. A man with priorities, indeed. Why yes. Please wait. Kei rushes to grab his lunchbox. Actually, there's still one left. I thought sensei should eat at least one. Kagaya widens her eyes. There's one left. But, there's no way I can ask him. Tisk. Think, Shinomiya Kaguya. Think. She uses her brain to the limits, scheming on how to get the last sandwich without saying a word. How considerate. Minoru pauses, sensing a glare from 2 o'clock. Chapter 33, Chapter 30, The End? Kaya. Okay, let's calm down. Inhale, there's a hottie. That means the rumor about him was real. So he's the capable new teacher, Yanagi Minoru, right? I heard he's also temporary the head of school affairs. That explains why he's with Vice President Kagaya-sama. Wait, isn't he too young for that? Who cares? It means as club members, we can also get along with him. There's also a chance that he's single. Muahaha. Whoa, girls. Wake up. I think Shijo-san and Shinomiya-san already. She whispered, have their eyes on him, right? They were all talking loudly, knowing the student meeting room was soundproof. The students, especially the girls accidentally on the scene, were crazy over the rumor of the new teacher. Meanwhile, most of the boys there already put Minoru on their radar. Blasphemy! The one who shouted was Kino Karen, aka Kagaya Fanatics. Kagaya-sama is already with President Shirogane. Period. Ah, whatever. Anyway, let's post the rumor on Twitter, girls. Someone excitedly pumped her fist as she shouted. Oh. Alright. The girls shouted. How dare they? Karen, wait. Ko's Erika, also a Kagaya fanatic, pulled Karen closer and whispered, put aside that I also hate them putting shame on our goddess. I think this is a good change. Let's see. There's a very handsome new teacher, isn't this a good promotion? Maybe we can get a lot of views for our good-for-nothing shuchi in TV. Karen pondered her suggestion. You're right. Maybe we can get more views for this event. The mass media club had already prepared for today's event. Their work quality could be considered close to professional, but who the heck watched a school ceremony? While it was grander compared to other schools, what you got was the principal's speech about elegance, blah blah blah, and that's it. Karen and Erika glanced at the bunch of girls typing something on their phones. They both looked at each other with a knowing nod. Alright, whether you want to head straight to your post or catch a break, it's your call. Everyone nodded and got up from their seats. He could also see Kagaya, silently devouring the last sandwich. In the end, the last sandwich ended up in Kagaya's hands as Chika realized that Kagaya had been the only one left out. Sigh. With a weary sigh, it appeared as though he had finally mustered to take a deep breath. As everyone dispersed from the meeting room, he navigated his way towards the exit, preparing himself for the upcoming patrol around the academy. Yanagi. Want a smoke? Shizuka inquired as they both were the last ones in the room. No thanks. I'll be making the rounds of the academy as planned. And thank you for being here and assisting us. You're really a workaholic, hey? Ahaha. It's nothing. Well, I get bored if I don't do anything. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Shizuka said, waved at him. Minoru nodded and also headed to the door, yet he stopped. As he scanned the corridor, he noted, there are more students than before. They all looked at him as if anticipating this moment, but he paid no mind to their gazes. Excuse me, said one of the two students approaching him. Yes. Minoru observed them, noting the long-haired one holding a microphone and the other wielding a professional video camera. My apologies for taking your time. Are you the new teacher and new head of school affairs, Yanagi-sensei? Correct, he replied, walking out of the room and closing it. Can I help you, students from the mass media club? However, he didn't receive an immediate answer as both of them stood frozen in a daze. I'm sorry. I was shocked that sensei found out about us so quickly. Ahem, my name is Kino Karen, and this is my friend Ko's Erika. If it's alright, we'd like to interview sensei as the new head of school affairs. Minoru paused. Interview. 9:35 am. Oh my. Both of you are so cute. AI exclaimed, looking at Aqua and Ruby in their costumes. Ruby sported an oversized bunny outfit, while Aqua opted for a wizard costume. The theme of their attire matched their pets, with Ruby bringing a rabbit and an owl for Aqua. Okay, I get it about Ruby. Ichigo nodded as he glanced at Aqua, what is he wearing again? He looked puzzled. AI cleared her throat, he said. Miyako abruptly shut her mouth, honey. It's a Hogwarts uniform, alright. My little brother, Minoru, has quite the taste in fashion, so he suggested it. Miyako explained. Ichigo nodded, accepting that it was Minoru's idea. He didn't question it, being one of Minoru's loyal followers. HOH. That explains the stick. Come Aqua, do a spell. Kakik. Aqua's face distorted as Ichigo teased, Avada Kedavra. Aqua pointed his stick at him. Man, is that Latin? What does that mean? Aqua smirked, I'm just 4 years old, remember? He said it was a death spell. You punk. Did you just casually kill your own father? Haha. Aqua laughed dryly, wishing he could use the spell on certain people. Ruby, what's going on? Aqua looked at Ruby, who always seemed nervous. Ruby gasped, "I idiot. Don't underestimate me. I'm not a kid, you know. And don't talk to me with that costume." Ruby threw away her face as she crossed her arms. "Hey kids these days." Aqua let out a long sigh and decided to kill time with AI's phone. Meanwhile, both mommies had a serious talk a little far from the twins. "AI-san, please refrain from saying anything about him in public." "Sorry, but please don't be reckless," Miyako pleaded. AI helplessly smiled, "Tee sorry but, Miyako-san, this is my first time with them at their school." "Couldn't help it, right?" AI said cutely. The reason AI could attend the twins' special class was that Ichigo and Miyako were also here as their disguised parents. AI was also wearing a typical celebrity outfit, including a hat and mask. It was natural for AI to yearn for glimpses of her children adorned in adorable costumes. The juxtaposition of joy and sorrow though lingered within her as the absence of their actual father was keenly felt in this moment. Miyako smiled sympathetically at her situation. "I know. But please remain collected, okay?" "Gotcha." With that, they both walked back to them. As they strolled, AI realized that she hadn't taken a picture of the twins for Minoru. "Ha ha ha." Silently, AI laughed like a devil. He must be dreaming that he was here with them. Wait, kind of feel bad for him. Then, she smiled at the idea. As she returned, AI noticed Aqua using her phone and also sensed a hint of worry, maybe shock? "What's going on? Hey! Give me back my phone!" AI snatched her phone from Aqua's hand. "Oh my! Don't be sad, Aqua. Cause, I'll take a lot of cute pictures." Air. Aqua stared at AI, his face filled with worry. AI tilted her head, looked at her phone, and noticed the app that Aqua was using was still open. AI, what's wrong?" Ichigo voiced his concern, glancing at Miyako and Ruby, who looked equally surprised. However, AI remained silent, her attention fixed solely on the screen. Everyone, except Aqua, joined AI to see what had captured her focus. As it turned out, AI was scrolling through Twitter and watching a video clip. "Hello and welcome back to Shuchiin TV. My name is Kino Karen from Mass Media Club at our beloved Shuchiin High. Today, we are honored to have the head of school affairs and our new teacher, Yanagi Minoru, with us. Thank you for your time, sensei." "Oh, it's just the boss. Hey, does he own that school or something?" "Shut it, Ichigo," Miyako retorted. "Yanagi-sensei, can you tell us your feelings about this event?" the reporter asked, handing the mic to a silver-haired man. "Well, I hope we can end this event smoothly and move on to the homeroom." The reporter giggled, "Ahaha, sensei. I think the students won't be happy with that statement. Next question, since Yanagi-sensei is also a new teacher, what are your thoughts about Shuchiin?" The interview continued with mundane questions, but seeing Minoru on screen was captivating. "Erika-chan, are you serious about this? 2 million views? Ahem, we apologize about that," the surprised reporter said. "After considering numerous questions from our live viewers, we picked one that doesn't violate privacy. Could sensei tell us about your hobby?" Minoru paused, then broke into a genuine smile, causing the girl at his side to blush at the unexpected warmth of his expression. The internet was undoubtedly on the brink of erupting with reactions at that very moment. "Yes, lately, I've been playing piano at night and cooking meals for my fa. Ha! AI, Ichigo, Miyako, and Ruby widened their eyes. "My puppies that I regard as my family," Minoru corrected himself. "Pfft! Hwahaha! For real? He almost does the same thing as me," AI burst into laughter. Mama did?" Ruby asked, clueless. "I guess heaven made you two for each other," Ichigo whispered and chuckled. "Thank you. Hee. Darn idol." That was sarcasm, Ichigo quipped as they refocused on the interview. "And of course, there's another new teacher, Briar-sensei, and the vice president of the student council, Shinomiya Kaguya, here with us this morning." The screen seamlessly transitioned to reveal them, leaving them pleasantly surprised. "Thank you for your time, Briar-sensei," the woman nervously said. Hello." Ruby, Ichigo, and Miyako exchanged glances, curious about AI's reaction. AI looked at Ye. "Oh, I see, so, this woman who always seems to be by his side. There's no doubt, I could smell her scent from here. The scent that's always attached to his fancy suit. Well done, Minoru-kun. Let's see what kind of excuse you'll come up with this time. Under her hat, AI's eyes darkened as if she would kick him out of the house. I knew it, said Ruby with a nod. Ahem, well, I think he didn't do anything wrong here. Ichigo felt uncomfortable. Why yet? Don't worry about it, AI-san. Miyako tried to calm her, but there was no response from AI, making things eerie. Of course, AI's chirp caught them off guard, prompting an audible gulp from them. Chaos enveloped her mind. Behind her mask, AI smiled, twitching, as she scrolled again and again. Does anyone know who they are? AI asked softly as she looked at the pic. I think I've seen them on TV. Wait. Miyako said, clueless. I've seen them before. The brat with long black hair is Shinomiya Kaguya. To put it simply, her family is filthy rich. And the teacher is an Olympic athlete, Ichigo said, impressed. Miyako looked at the girl's uniform. Shinomiya? Ah, I remember her now. She sighed. Rich, athlete. AI mumbled as she scrolled down and read a post. Ruby's mouth formed an O shape as she exclaimed, Mama, Dad is famous. Well, he's your dad after all. AI whispered, her smile twitching crazily. Anonym-chan 12M. Minoru's interview pic. Oh my gosh. The rumored one is here. Shuchi and Hai's new teacher, and he's a hottie. The school suddenly has great taste, hey? It's the first day of April, and I think my school life will be interesting. If you guys are curious about what he'll do next, stay tuned and check out our school's welcome ceremony on this link. That's all from Anonym-chan. The post had 1.3k comments and 2.2k retweets of a silver-haired man, undoubtedly her husband. Even though the first post was only 12 minutes ago, the reaction was unbelievable. Rin, 12M. No way. This is absolutely a scam. A hottie as a teacher? I'm telling my mom that I want to change schools. Hana, 13M. LOL. Yanagi-sensei just destroyed the whole standard of what a Japanese high school should have. We need more hotties as teachers. Where's justice? And where did our taxes go? The power of social media. Not even a moment, keyword hottie on Twitter became trending in Japan with 1.3k posts, all focusing on Minoru. More importantly, something frightening grew in AI's heart. She was clearly not happy and jealous. Was this the end of the Yanagi household? Toilet. AI said, patting Ruby's head. I'll be back, okay. She began walking, and her pace quickened. Sigh, kids these days, Ichigo shook his head, understanding what was going on, being a husband himself. Walking over to the group, Aqua shot them a questioning look. Where is she going? Aqua was concerned about AI. Kid, you won't understand the world of grown ups. Just stay there and look cute, Ichigo gave his advice to young Aqua. But, I'm grown up too, thought Aqua. Somehow I feel offended, Ichigo. Please tell me that I'm wrong, Miyako said. Dash. The mass media club bowed in gratitude to Minoru and Yae, brimming with joy over their recent achievement. Sensei, we're truly thankful for your help, Karen expressed, her eyes welling up with tears. Help? Minoru had only said a few sentences. Well, they said something about 2 million views or whatever. He also wasn't concerned if his face got caught on camera, as it wouldn't reveal anything about his criminal background. Maybe his folks at Ruska Bratva will notice him here. But it's good. If they see him, it's the same as him telling them that I'm here doing my job, and you fuckers should stay away from my target or else. I'm happy to help, Minoru replied. Why yet? I also enjoyed it, Yae fibbed, her discomfort in front of the camera evident. Minoru's eyes widened as his phone vibrated in his pocket. He retrieved it and saw an incoming call. Wife. What's going on? Minoru furrowed his brow, concerned that something bad might have happened. He remembered that she was with the kids for their special class, pet day. Perhaps there was an accident? Shit, he couldn't shake off the unease. He turned and walked away. Iat? Yanagi-san. Yae looked at him, taken aback by the sudden change in his demeanor. Briar-san, I'll go patrol now. Chapter 34, Chapter 31, His Wife. AI headed to the car that he had purchased for Miyako. It was the perfect place to talk, soundproof and secluded. However, She hesitated for a moment before dialing his number. AI wasn't exactly a genius, but she wasn't foolish either. Growing up in a less-than-ideal family situation, with an absent father and a mother who didn't fulfill her role, she experienced the bitter side of marriage. This may sound harsh. AI, you need to be aware that you're in the dark. First, you're an idol, the top one at that. Secondly, you lack strong backing. I know you're an idol, but still, you're just nobody. So, don't blindly trust his words. Said Gontanda Taishi. After consulting with people close to her, like director Gontanda, who always helped her, and Aqua, she learned that her relationship with Minoru was based on a mere verbal agreement. It was like walking on a beautiful bridge with a weak structure or investing in Bitcoin. Her marriage was unconventional, but she was grateful that Minoru understood why she acted this way. Still, she needed to assess the charts. Was there a future or impending doom? It might be better to end the relationship now if he proved unfaithful, sparing Aqua and Ruby from paying the price for her mistakes. However, at this moment, AI is consumed by pure jealousy. Well, she's a woman too. With an uneasy feeling, she asked, Minoru-kun, how close is your relationship with that woman? She's a new teacher, just like you, right? What? You called me for something like this? Why so sudden? And I never said anything related to my job either, he replied, speechless, leaning against a tree somewhere in the academy. Moe. Just answer the question. Or else, I'll never show you the picture of Ruby in a bunny costume. AI exclaimed with fury. The great me? The honored one just getting blackmailed? Put that aside. My daughter in a bunny costume? This question hung in the air. Minoru's face turned serious as he pondered. He had never seen Ruby in that costume, as she had refused to show it to him. However, if his mom had given it to him, it was a different story. How much does it cost? $1 million? No, that's too cheap. I'll give you my 40% shares in Google. He stammered. AI, dumbfounded, leaned in. Did you just offer me money for a picture of your own daughter? Common sense just left the chat. I'm not joking. Turns out, it was his common sense. You've got some serious issues, Minoru-kun. Is that wrong? Rather, I'll double it. Stop, Minoru. Stop flexing your money, and you don't have to do that, because you're her father. Look, I get that you're rich, but just stop. AI realized that this was what marriage was. She had finally seen Minoru's bad side. Bad habits. Sorry, Minoru apologized, calming himself. About me and Briar-san, there's nothing between us. I swear to God. To calm down his jealous and angry wife, Minoru summarized how he had met Ya up until now. For the sake of a happy ending, he didn't have the audacity to refuse. That's it. He finished. AI sighed, smiling. There was no slight lie as she genuinely felt that way. Though Minoru was relieved she didn't know about Chibashira Sae. Now, give it to me. The photo. Make sure it's high quality. AI pouted, you like Ruby that much. Why not ask for my photo too? Anyway, I'm sorry for my petty feelings. She paused, make sure you're working hard, alright. Nah, I'm having a headache after dealing with a spoiled brat. And how did you know about her? Ha ha ha, AI laughed dryly, congratulations, Yanagi-sensei. Because now you're famous. Me? I forgot that you're actually a caveman. Just get out of your cave, see the world, and download Twitter. Okay, I'll send the picture. Bye. Bye famous, hey. Minoru thought, Eileen has 49% shares in Twitter. Nair he didn't want to be in debt with that queen. Following through on her promise to him, she fulfilled his wish. She sent him the photo of Aqua and Ruby. Upon opening it, a subtle smile graced his face as Aqua posed in a Hogwarts uniform, and Ruby adorned a bunny costume. While he longed to see the photo for an extended period, duty called, demanding his attention. Pushing himself away from the tree, he began to stroll. Event prep is covered by the Dream Team, and Briar watches over the Student Council. Now, on to the Delinquents. Heading south, he ventured into the literary farm area of the academy, a notable accomplishment given the school's central location in Minato. Shuchian took pride in raising a multitude of cows, and a bordering forest of trees enveloped the expansive meadow. And behind that was an abandoned storage facility, once used for discarding broken items like Yu's keyboard, which served as the perfect haunt for delinquents. Yuya's horse boxes at the farm, he recalled, triggering memories of Yu's favorite old tales. Suddenly, a call interrupted his thoughts. "S-sensei. This is Moha. We need your help." Halting in his tracks, he sprinted back north. "Copy. What's the problem?" "There's a lot of Yakuza at the main gate, and we're holding the president from a fight." Kagaya Moha's voice urgently cut off. "I'm on my way," Minoru sighed, annoyed by the spoiled brat causing trouble. "Yanagi-san. Did you need my help?" Ya asked, concerned. "Stay there and help Team Shiro gain. Leave the Yakuza to me." Everyone who overheard admired his guts, thinking he could handle it alone. But, talk was often easier than action. "Ho ho. Let's see if you can handle this elegantly, Yanagi-sensei," Henry remarked, eyes fixed on the big screen displaying Minoru's sprint. HMMPH. SAE watched with interest, wondering about his courage, as their previous school affairs had never involved with the Yakuza. Always so overconfident. Underestimating them too much. Just because you live in the UK doesn't mean you knows everything about the Japanese underworld. "Sensei, this kind of thing was never taught in university, even for a genius." Kagaya thought while preparing inside the auditorium, anticipating Minoru's potential downfall. Before Amanai could pick a fight, Raku, the only son of the Shui clan, one of the 4 Yakuza clans, sighed. He was tired of all the drama. All he wanted was a normal daily life, walking to school without any fuss. Approaching the front gate, now eerily silent due to his underlings blocking the road for safety, he remembered the familiarity of this silence from his past. All eyes were on him, filled with a mixture of fear and reverence, as if he were the freaking son of Demon King. "Bakan. Congratulations on coming back to school. Please study well and lead us to glory." Ryu, an intimidating man in Hakama, greeted him passionately. The Yakuza members lined up, bowing at a 90-degree angle. "Congratulations, Bakan. Please study well and lead us to glory." They echoed. Raku sighed and continued walking. Yet. Now gee. What the heck? What a bunch of troublemakers doing here?" He turned to see a girl with a cheeky smirk on her face, dressed in Shuchian Middle School's white uniform. This was new. Did the school change some rules? Regardless, why was she casually entering the scene? "Oi, Aja-chan." Ryu intervened, "Please back off and give Bakan some space." "Hey? Did you just say, fuck off?" With a smirk, Riko gave him a middle finger, leaving Raku sweating at her words and blatant mockery. Chapter 35, Chapter 32, Test of Elegance. Despite being the principal, things didn't unfold as he had envisioned. Strangely, Henry found solace in Murdoch Swan's death, and Yanagi Minoru stepped in to resolve the issue at the school. Was this fate? He didn't concern himself with destiny, all that mattered now was, test of elegance. "This is the moment, Yanagi-sensei. I want to see if your elegance is truly worthy of shouldering the responsibilities as the head of school affairs." Henry glanced at the screen, noting that Minoru had ceased running and now strode purposefully towards the building compound. His walk was a masterpiece, dignified and calm, radiating an aura that permeated his surroundings. Henry observed Minoru pass with an air of walking mastery, he approved. Secretary Chan sighed wearily at his erratic speech, while SAE stood with arms and legs crossed, silently watching Minoru. "Ho ho, how about a small test before the main event?" Henry said as Minoru reached the front of the outdoor restroom. Whoa, is he the teacher?" A cute student with light grey hair murmured, eyeing Minoru as he walked past the restroom. "Ugh. I couldn't hold it anymore." Minoru furrowed his brow, sensing something amiss, and retraced his steps to the place he had just passed. "Wait." Minoru grabbed the student's shoulder. "Ah!" The student yelped, glancing back. "Why yes? Did you need something from me?" The student's voice was so feminine that it could make anyone skip a beat. Yet, Minoru's mental defenses were robust, deflecting the attempted deception. Minoru released the student's shoulder and inspected the male and female signs on the restroom wall. Seeing through the ruse, he peeled off a sticker, revealing that the student was heading to the wrong section. The student gasped cutely, "Eh? This is the wrong room? I don't have any malicious intent. I just thought this is the male toilet. The student blushed shyly. It's fine. Maybe this is a prank by some students. But I hope you'll be more cautious, Totsuka Saika, Minoru calmly advised the boy. Yes. Saika replied cutely. Wait, you're that famous new teacher, Yanagi-sensei. Ah. I'm sorry for shouting like that. But how did sensei already know my name? Saika gasped again, but Minoru remained poker-faced. That's my duty that I should know every student's name. Well then. Minoru walked toward the main gate, leaving Saika staring at His Majesty, completing the side quest of elegance. Ho ho, well done, well done. I expected that you'd pass the test effortlessly. Henry nodded, satisfied that Minoru's composure hadn't wavered. After meticulously planning the systematic test, Henry anticipated that Saika would use the restroom at this time, coincidentally crossing paths with Minoru. The plan aimed to assess if Minoru would notice that the restroom sign had been covered with stickers, swapping the male and female symbols. Knowing that Saika was often mistaken for a girl, Henry hoped this would bias Minoru's judgment. However, Minoru's keen eyes proved otherwise. Tisk. He noticed it. Well, this is nothing. Sae mentally bit her thumbnail, having failed to impede Minoru or witness him faltering the test. Minoru straight up mocked the pointless test with a heavy sigh. You testing me with this shit? Sorry, but women are my first language. Did you hear that, fuckers? Did you expect to see him blush at a trap boy, thinking the boy was a chick the whole damn time? How goddamn adorable. The principal and vice principal watched him walk, an unstoppable force. 9:45 a.m. Shit. That was the word that crossed Raku's mind. He was now worried, as this girl clearly didn't understand the situation. Riko laughed when she heard Ryu telling her to get out of the way. Why should I? Aja-chan, did you not learn manners on how to talk to your elders? Riko raised her brow. Like hell you're my elder. Your face doesn't match quali HMMPH. As always, Kei held her again, and Riko resisted as always. I just called Yanagi-sensei, Moha said nervously. Riko. Are you crazy? We just need to let them go home right away, said Kei. At Kei's words, Riko stopped acting, and Kei let go of her mouth. Riko glanced at her. Kei, Moha. They disturbed our important and happy memory. Aren't you angry that they ruined this event? Kei didn't have an answer. The truth is, she was scared that Riko might hurt. Moha peeked at the Yakuza, who seemed displeased with what Riko just said. Riko glanced back at Ryu. You heard me. Get out. Hey. You're from the middle school division. Could you just let go for this time? I swear that this won't happen, Raku said as he approached her, yet. Shut up. They clearly escorted you here because you're weak. Silence from Raku as he somehow annoyed at her honesty. I like you, Aja-chan. You have huge guts. Ryu smiled. Then, how about this? If you can land a punch to my cheek, and if that hurts, we'll never come here again. Riko smiled at that. Okay. Deal. Not so fast. Since you're obviously weak, you can choose someone strong as your champion. I don't care who he is because I'll use a blindfold. Ryu tied a blindfold around his eyes. Raku grabbed his hakama and shouted, TCH. Ryuu. Just go home already. Bakan, we Yakuza never back down to anyone. As the future head of Shui clan, you must remember that. Please. That's right. HMMPH. Of course. There are a lot of people who want to beat Y. As Riko glanced at the crowd of white and black uniforms of Shuchiin, hoping for a volunteer. What she got was the opposite. Like I'll do that. Crazy. I didn't want to end up in Tokyo Bay. Drama queen. She's annoying. Just get this done already. Yet. She just acted as if she's a heroine or something. I came here ASAP because of Yanagi-sensei, and now I'm stuck here. Murmurs continued spreading like a fire. They looked at her as if she were pathetic or something. She began to waver. This is not what she expected. All she wanted was to have a good memory with everyone. For that reason. That's why she enrolled as a candidate for student council president. All I want is everyone happy. Riko looked at her shoes, wondering why this was what she got. Riko, I'll do THA. Kei and Moha wanted to say something as they saw Riko on the verge of crying, yet they both stopped as someone passed, seeming like a ghost. The crowd also fell into deep silence as the man with silver hair suddenly appeared, or had they just not been paying attention? Well, it was just Baba Yaga entering the scene. Tap. Riko felt something holding her left shoulder. Good job. She looked up and saw Minoru. I'll do it, he said without looking at her. Riko was speechless, just frozen, as she watched him walk confidently toward Ryuhu. Gulp. Fear. All the Yakuza there swallowed their saliva, watching this man hoop the living crap out of them, the Shui clan, and the Beehive gang all with nothing but his bare fucking hands. Straight up chills creeping down their spines as Minoru just kept going. Like, why the hell does time gotta drag on so damn much? Move. I wanna move. HOH. HOH. This silence. It seems there's a guy with Minoru's punch entered the chat. Kahoog. Ryuha felt like he was falling down, and time seemed to tick really slow. The blindfold slipped from his head, and he looked at the man who punched him. Oh. Then he entered the dark abyss called unconsciousness. Dash. When they saw a beefed-up man with a scar on his face drop like a sack of potatoes from just one punch, they were like, what the heck? Minoru's eyes locked onto the remaining Yakuza. They all went into battle mode as their survival instincts kicked in. The man just stared them down, and he was the real deal. Get out of here, Minoru ordered the Yakuza. Yes, sir. They all shouted like a bunch of Boy Scouts, snatched their leader, and bolted. What's happening? Did he just? No way. Murmurs started going wild as the Yakuza bailed without a second thought. Minoru shot them a look. This is not a show. Please disband immediately. They all started scattering too, catching his sharp crimson eyes. Am you hurt? I'm okay. Riko looked at him, her big round eyes wide open. The crowd flowed past them like a river, but she only had eyes for him, ignoring the jerks who had been giving her a hard time. Her face got all hot as she blushed at her champion. Hee hee. Look at her, she must be thrilled. Moha giggled, and Riko snapped back. Riko turned her head around, wrong. I'm not thrilled. As Minoru observed her, he got the memo. She's fine. But the principal's office? Not so much. Did he just single-handedly chase off the Yakuza? Henry exclaimed with his mouth agape. Sae narrowed her eyes, expressing suspicion. Sir, there's something I suspect. Henry shifted his attention to her. Go on. Chapter 36, Chapter 33, Doubt. There's a possibility that Yanagi-sensei has a history with the Yakuza, Sae stated, pointing out how suspicious it seemed. Henry paused his hand on his chin, contemplating. You're right. The way they acted when Yanagi-sensei arrived at the main gate and how obedient they were when he chased them out adds up. There's a possibility. Yanagi Minoru, a man Henry recognized as someone pursuing the path of elegance. He wanted to deny it, but if Sae was right, it was like he was rolling out a red carpet to this seemingly refined individual who was, in fact, a dangerous figure from the underworld. The seed of doubt had been planted. Sae found a strange satisfaction in the idea that Minoru had swiftly resolved the problem as if he were some big shot from the underworld. Sae thought, well, I doubt it, considering how dignified he looks. I never thought he could be involved in something like this. Although, the way he solved Ishigami's case so quickly might be, but the Academy won't ask anything about it. But for now, Henry also thinks the same as me. He'll doubt Yanagi, and that's enough to push him. We'll see whether he truly embodies elegance or if he's just an imposter infiltrating our school, Henry declared, turning around with an elegant posture, his hands firmly gripping the cane. He looked at Sae solemnly. Let's proceed with Plan A. Secretary Chan widened her eyes, exclaiming, Sir, are you sure about this? As if he were crazy. However, no one could change Henry's mind at this moment. 9:52 a.m. I sincerely apologize for causing a ruckus this morning, Raku said, ashamed. Turning around, he spotted a male student bowing at a perfect 90-degree angle. As he had mentioned before, Minoru knew all the students he would be teaching, but this particular person was familiar. His father, the leader of the Shui clan, had called 001 in the past. It seems you didn't want such an extravagant escort. Don't worry. I'll call your family to the school since you're not the actual problem. Ahaha. He laughed nervously. Raku lifted his head, wondering who this person was. Despite being the son of a Yakuza, Raku's life was relatively normal, much like any other teenagers. The only complication was his clan, which always bothered him because he lacked backbone within it. Even when he asked them to stay behind, they would inevitably follow him without informing him. Minoru turned his gaze back to the trio. You three did a good job. However, challenging them like that is dangerous, Emanai. Kei and Moha anxiously awaited Riko's response. I'm sorry. Kei and Moha hadn't expected Riko to be this gentle. Minoru nodded. Good, and speak through the radio again if something urgent happens. He walked back to deal with a group of delinquents. At the same time, while Minoru dealt with the delinquents, the class named Pet Day had ended, and all the parents had already left the kindergarten. Still, in her bunny costume, she lied to the teacher, claiming she needed to use the restroom as an excuse to skip the dance class. Aqua left the school earlier for a morning drama shoot. Yanagin became popular on the internet after just one interview. Even if he weren't popular, he'd still be a successful man. She sat under the tree, hugging her knees, her expression revealing sadness and a sense of pathetic defeat. After all, everyone in her family shone brightly, their very existence proclaiming, I'm the best. Meanwhile, she felt left behind, skipping the dance class because she couldn't bring herself to participate. Her body wouldn't move the way she wanted it to, a constant reminder of her past life as the girl who lost to cancer, named Tenduji Serena. Every attempt to move her body ended with her falling to the ground. Even as Hoshino Ruby, she remained the same. Pathetic. She buried her face in her hugged knees, uttering the word to herself. Now, with Yanagin here, Mama won't be sad anymore. And without me, it seems they've become the perfect family, with Aqua as the genius son. Who needs someone like me anyway? She began to doubt if they needed a stupid daughter like her. Poke. Ruby looked up and saw Anya poking her head. Want some peanuts? Anya offered. Ruby glanced at her hand and replied, thanks, before taking a handful. Observing Anya, who was still wearing the costume, Ruby wondered if she was also running from class. Anya began to sweat as she got caught. Anya sucks at dancing, so Anya wanted to run from it and eat peanuts with you. Ruby's spirits lifted at the thought of having a friend on the same page. Me too, Ruby admitted, and both of them shared a slow laugh. Anya sat beside her, lost in thought. My mission. Anya hadn't forgotten the reason she came here, although Anya was also serious about her inability to dance. Anya remembered seeing in Bond's vision that the clock tower would show 10:30. Unable to read time, she had already asked the teacher when exactly 10:30 am was. She knew it was just halfway before that time and that she needed to hurry to bring Ruby on a mission to help Minoru. From Bond's vision, she saw Minoru's dogs trying to get out of Teresa's apartment because it was locked. Two alternative futures unfolded: success and failure. The key was whether the seventh dogs managed to get out and go to Shichiin to help Minoru. Anya knew she had to do something about it. Anya already gave Ruby delicious peanuts. Anya was proud of it but then realized something. Now what? She thought with a serious dumb face. Hey, where's the first son? You mean Aqua? Why do you always call him the first son? About him. Ruby became sad again. He's busy shooting for a drama. Why? Anya gasped as she made a mistake. No. If Ruby is sad, then Anya has to do this alone. She thought dramatically. Anya wants to play with him too. But Ruby is enough for Anya. Sounds like a love confession. Come to think of it, you always sneak and spy on Aqua the whole time. Do you love him? Ruby wondered if Anya had entered the realm of love built on childhood friendship. Anya blinked her eyes a few times. Love. Then she looked up with a profound calculation. Lloyd's face came to her mind. I love Shishi. Then changed to Bond. I love Bond. Then to Minoru's face. I love Boss Man. Then to anime. I love anime. Then a pack of peanuts. I love peanuts. Lastly, Aqua's face came to her mind. First son. Not at all. She shook her head innocently, claiming not to feel anything. Why are you acting so cute to deny that? Ruby squinted at her, finding it cute. Ruby-chan. Anya-chan. Where are you? Dancing class has already started. So please come out. While they both gasped at their worried teacher. Emergency quest. Run or get caught and go to dance class. Ruby stood up, looked around, and grabbed a rock. She threw it in a random direction, creating a harsh sound that convinced the teacher they were hiding there. Ruby grabbed Anya's hand and said, Anya, let's run. Whoa. Anya's face lit up because the feeling was waka waku. Yeah, ack. She held her mouth, sorry. Two kids raced through the garden path, their cute costumes billowing in the wind as they reveled in the thrill of aimless adventure. Hey, where are we even going? Ruby queried. Anya pondered for a moment. Let's go to the field. Upon reaching the field, Anya's face lit up with delight. Bond. Broth. Huffed. Huffed. At the mention of his name, Bond bounded toward her without hesitation. Wait, your dog is still here? Ruby asked in surprise. They paused, their hands sinking into Bond's large, fluffy fur. Now what? Any ideas? Ruby inquired. Anya tapped her chin, deep in thought. Drawing inspiration from spy anime, she suggested, hey, let's visit Uncle's school. We'll hide beside Bond's fat when we're sneaking past Mustache Uncle at the gate. In essence, they planned to slip out of the school gates like secret agents, using Bond's bulk as cover, and outsmart the security guard. Hey! Ruby was taken aback by the unexpected proposal. Wait, that sounds fun. You know what? I also want to beat him for cheating on Mama. But if Mama finds out about this... Ruby trailed off, nervously contemplating the consequences of ditching school for a visit to Shuchiin. Anya glanced at Ruby, seemingly able to read her thoughts. The mental image of Ruby performing a doxa while AI scolded her, slipper in hand. That's scary, Anya remarked, her own anxiety evident. But the plan was also possible since their kindergarten wasn't far from Shuchiin, it was a 13-minute walk. But Ruby doubted it since they were both just small kids. If we walk, it'll take too long. Easy. We'll ride on Bond's back, Anya suggested, patting Bond affectionately. Hee, this is crazy, Ruby chuckled darkly, her composure slipping away. Screw it. Let's do this, Anya, Ruby declared, playing her hand with a mischievous gleam in her eye. With that, Ruby just entered the rebellious phase. Hat. Anya smirked in response, thrilled to embark on this daring mission with her partner. Chapter 38, Chapter 34, Peanuts. The rhythmic echo of his footsteps resonated as Minoru traversed the stone path in the southern expanse of the academy. Abruptly halting, he discerned an unusual sound, reminiscent of a smack. Waste no time, he hurried towards it, curiosity piqued by the unknown. Before him lay a peculiar scene: a girl with long pink hair and a tracksuit on the top of her uniform, repeatedly smacking her head against the ground. Concern edged across his face. Minoru wondered, is she okay? Drown out the memories. Be gone. Be gone, my filthy memories. The girl's mental plea echoed, revealing her struggle against haunting thoughts of a friendless past and an unfulfilled dream of joining a band. Hayek. Now the narrator thinks I'm pitiful, she exclaimed, wiping away tears. The author couldn't believe his ears. Let's sing my new song then. Perhaps I was hallucinating, after all, it seemed implausible that someone could hear the observer. Observing her, Minoru recognized her Gota Hidori, a first-year student on scholarship at Shuchiin High. Despite a seemingly mundane background, Minoru surmised that her enrollment might be a nerve-wracking experience. I practiced 6 hours every day to play in front of people, and the result? Middle school ended, and I never played a single note for them. Never performed at a cultural festival. Never formed a band. Never made a single friend in 3 whole years. Now, in this massive school that terrifies me, I must form a band or die trying. Minoru realized that Hidori was grappling with self-confidence issues. Perhaps, at this moment, a simple applause for the impromptu song she had created was all she needed. He genuinely meant it, recognizing her skill in playing the guitar and crafting lyrics in a short amount of time. As Hidori finished the song with a smug expression, she heard applause from behind, causing her brain to momentarily freeze. Bravo! Minoru's calm voice broke the silence. Glancing back, Hidori saw him nodding approvingly. Had he witnessed everything from the beginning? Those eerie red eyes, staring at her from the beginning, sent shivers down her spine. Panicking, she let out a loud scream. Minoru was the worst person she could encounter. Amidst the chaos, Hidori.exe malfunctioned, and she melted into a sulking statue. It took a moment for her to realize that Minoru was a teacher patrolling the area. Memories surfaced of her past interactions with teachers, but Minoru struck her as the worst, a type she found terrifying. My deep apologies, sensei. For what? Anyway, you've got some skill there. I think you'll have a band soon. No. My SK skill is still lacking. It's nothing great. That's wrong. Others will think the same as me, so don't underestimate yourself. Hidori paused, contemplating his words. Can you praise me more? So this is what being praised feels like. Her family aside, this was her first compliment, and Minoru wondered if she had misjudged something. Anyway, don't hurt your head like that again. And I think your parents are worried about you, Gota Hidori, so head to the auditorium now. Do you remember the way back? Hidori didn't recall mentioning her name. Could he be a fan? With a YouTube channel for guitar covers, maybe Minoru was her stalker. Another misunderstanding, but she found herself oddly content. And by the way, Minoru had already memorized all the students' names and backgrounds. Yes. I remember the way back since I'm familiar with this place, Hidori responded awkwardly. Minoru, puzzled, walked away, leaving her in the forest she seemed strangely familiar with. On an ordinary day, the security guard lazily manned his post with his eyes half open. Suddenly, a sound caught his attention from the left, and upon investigation, he discovered a donut and a pack of peanuts. Curiosity piqued, he wondered if there was something special about this day. Fortunately, a note accompanied the unexpected gifts. It read, "Thank you for the hard work." A smile crept across his face as he pondered whether an angel had delivered the treats or if it was an attempt by mischievous students to escape. "Let's move," whispered Anya with a hushed tone. With that, Bond began to stroll through a small gate that had opened near the security post, the two agents hiding on the left side of his fat belly. Somehow, no one could prevent this canon event as Ruby and Anya rode Bond's back along the city sidewalk. The excitement, thrill, and the gust of wind on Anya's face fueled her determination to help Minoru. "Woohoo! Anya! Where are we going now?" Anya's joyous expression turned serious as the other agent reminded her, "Bond, let's go to Princess's secret base. Apartment." Borf. Ruby paused for a moment, asking, "What princess?" Even Ruby, aware that she didn't always need to take Anya seriously, she assumed it was just a random name. The eerie storage building, resembling a haunted factory, fell silent as Minoru unexpectedly entered the place, commanding the attention of the delinquents. "As the head of school affairs, I'll confiscate your motorcycle keys and inform your parents to retrieve them from me," he declared with simplicity, aware that they cared little for rules. The delinquents exchanged glances as Minoru dropped a blunt truth bomb. Why were they so arrogant? Well, each of them had ties to the Yakuza, the green underbelly of the criminal world. Ha 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 ha. Their laughter echoed, but Minoru, looking unfazed, had chosen the worst spot, the one lacking academy surveillance to discipline them. "Listen, Sensei. Wait, I know you." A guy with short, dyed blonde hair and an average yet trained physique approached him confidently, as if channeling John Cena. "You're that famous teacher, right? And you're the new school affairs guy. That's impressive. But, Sensei, the previous school affairs didn't touch us because he knew who we were," he said calmly. "Student, you're a second year named Yamamoto Masa." The student smiled at Minoru's recognition. "I'm glad, Sensei, you know about me. Then, you're a student, which means a nobody. This is annoying, but I remember all the names of troublesome students, especially you brats." Minoru locked his sharp gaze on him, making him gulp. "Hand it over now." His tone left no room for negotiation, this was their last chance. What was this Yakuza all about? Typically, a regular teacher wouldn't be involved with them. Messing with the Yakuza could lead to disappearances or worse. Shuchian's teachers knew this well, causing them to naturally avoid the school affairs seat. I don't like this at all. How about we finish this quickly before she arrives? A different sound. Minoru glanced back and saw two bald students approaching as if they intended to act. He was right. Masa threw a straight punch at Minoru when he only loosened his guard a little. Wajahh. Minoru deflected Masa's punch and used his fist to hit his bald friend where it hurts the most. In that brief moment, the other bald student aimed a kick at Minoru's head. Undeterred, Minoru blocked the kick with his right arm and simultaneously pulled Masa's hoodie sleeve. What the? Arg. Stop. The student ended up in an awkward position, wondering how Minoru managed to tie the hoodie sleeve to his foot. Calmly, Minoru pushed him into the other two, making them collide with a resounding crash. Bang. Cough. Cough. They all crashed onto the dusty floor, dirted and coughing. Minoru sighed with his left hand in his pants pocket, ensuring he didn't harm them severely. However, they couldn't avoid inhaling the dirt. An act of violence against a teacher can get you 3 expelled from school. Minoru looked at the 3 keys in his right hand, snatched while dealing with their futile attempt. Cough. Ugh. Damn it. My eyes. Masa rubbed his eyes due to the dirt, glancing up at his other underlings who watched him like idiots. What are you waiting for, fuckers? Oh. The rest of them are charged with battle roars. Are they crazy idiots? Just look at them. Minoru easily overpowered the strongest from your colony with his Jackie Chan move like. But then, they all stopped when they heard the loud sound of custom exhaust, and that familiar sound was their actual boss. Minoru looked at the newcomer with a white motocross bike with interest. What the heck are you guys doing? The owner screamed inside the helmet as she turned off her bike, and then unscrewed the helmet. Bastards! I once told you all to fuck off. Don't use my hiding place, akh. The delinquents stopped their fight, lined up, and bowed to the girl. Good morning, boss. We secured the PLA. Shut up, idiots. Didn't I say to you shitheads? I don't want any of you getting near me in school. Fuck hey. The angry, annoyed face turned a bit calmer when she looked at Minoru approaching her calmly as a lake. Who are you? Wait, she took her phone and opened her social media. Shit. You're that teacher. Aw man. She massaged her forehead at the bad timing. To think that sensei would move this fast. So you're here because we brought bikes to school? She asked with a lazy tone, then crossed her arms. The girl sure has some tomboy charisma and dignity as a leader. Still, Minoru already knows who she is. That's right, I expected nothing less from the former treasurer Ryujo Momo. Hand over the key, now. Momo sighed as she shook her head, clearly unlucky. Got it. Here's mine. Minoru accepted it like that, then Momo shouted, give your keys or I'll kill you all, bitches. Yes, boss. They all shouted back, sweating from her threat. Minoru was a little surprised at how they obeyed her without doubt, which contrasted with the boys from Ichijo. Well, Ryujo Momo still accepted her clan's wish that she must become the successor while also living her normal life, unlike Ichijo Raku. So this is her. Minoru had this thought when he finally met the successor of the Ryujo clan from one of the 4 clans of the Yakuza. Sensei, is the fatso really dead? Minoru snapped back, that fatso you mean is Swan Sensei. She nodded, as Minoru responded as a teacher, yes, unfortunately. But it's still bad to insult your former teacher with that nickname. Bad habit. Now I couldn't use my bike to school, shit. Momo crossed her arms again as she gritted her teeth. She clearly has a harsh mouth but still behaves better. So this is what Shirogane told me about. A tough competition, no way he will win. Then she also noticed that Minoru has a good physique, meaning he's training. She glanced at Masa, and that explained why he became dusty. She looked back at Minoru. Hey? Oh. She walked towards him and then saw him locking it with a long chain. Ryuju, bring your bike here. He tossed her key back as she was somehow annoyed. He's serious. He really knows how they think. Hey. Momo thought that the boys might use a spare key and then run away with the bike. But still, she liked his personality that didn't give a damn about anything. Wait, why does she think like that? Screw it. I'm not a simp like those girls. Yeah, there's no way. She got on her bike and then switched on the engine, annoyed. Meanwhile, Minoru's phone beeped, which means some crap just happened. Is he crazy? He cursed as he looked at the screen and then locked the chains with a padlock without waiting for Momo. The principal was doing something really bad to the point that he wondered why Henry gave this kind of test to him while also risking people inside the academy. More importantly, he didn't know if he could do the job without being violent. He also worried that outsiders like Teresa's guard might intervene in the event as they might use bullets. Which means the event will be over even before it starts. There's no way he'll let that happen. Yet, he needs to move his ass ASAP. A blaring sound from the custom exhaust can be heard. Hey, what's going on? You'll lock mine too, right? Then Momo narrowed her brows, then widened her eyes like what's going on? The bike. I'll borrow your bike, he said with a poker face. Momo was dazed for a moment. Hey! What kind of development is this? He's here to snatch their bikes, and now he wants to use one? Dash. Hoshino AI's POV. Just stepped into the new strawberry production digs in Shinjuku. Gotta say it's a whole different vibe compared to the old place. The old place belonged to Ichigo, a space he also used for work and living, and it always left me feeling sorry for Miyako-san. Now, everything had changed, as Minoru-kun aptly put it. Actually, Ichigo is still the boss. While I'm taking over the agency, I'm just paying for everything, sprucing things up, and making it even cooler. It seemed Minoru-kun had a penchant for solving problems with money, like attempting to buy his own daughter's photo from me, rather absurd. The pet day was a blast. Finally, I had the chance to see my kids in their school environment. Despite Ruby's perpetual smile, a mother's instinct or perhaps my overconfidence made me sense her worries. Ha ha ha. What a narcissistic woman I am. About my boyfriend. Wait, scratch that. My husband. Anyhow, why does he squander so much, matching his earnings? He's truly a man of secrets. I earned 600k yen this year, thanks to my other job besides being an idol. However, it would dwindle to around 300k when I focus solely on being an idol again. But fear not, I'll work diligently on this song and strive to reach 1,000,000 yen a year. Ha ha ha. Entering the locker room with a sigh, I glanced around, finding it empty. I did arrive earlier than the others, after all. Finally, I can talk freely. But I'm kinda surprised that he's really mysterious, hey? I remember our first date with that old car, no fancy clothes, just a meal from the drive-thru. As I tried to recall the events of 4 years ago, I realized I knew nothing about Minoru-kun. I didn't know him at all. Perhaps it was because I was too focused on myself. Even now, I'm simply enjoying my time with my family. I learned that our rings were from his parents, yet our situation made us appear close yet distant in some strange way. For us, I've decided to share everything about me, Hoshino AI, ensuring there are no lies or secrets between us. But, I can't shake the feeling that there's someone who knows him better than I do, a woman who might be superior to me. Does he love me because of his unplanned kids? He claims we're now married, yet I doubt he'd reveal the secrets hidden behind his closed doors. Who is he, really? Is it too soon to wonder, or am I just scared of being left behind once more? AI. Huff, huff. I got a call from Ruby's teacher. Something. Suddenly, Miyako-san burst into the room, her face etched with horror, breathless and frantic. It wasn't a lie when I felt my heart racing, fearing that something terrible might have happened. Chapter 39, Chapter 35, I'd win. Minoru cursed inwardly. He didn't have time to argue with Ryuaju, and that old man was crossing a line. There's no time, he said hurriedly. Hey, at least explain what's happening. What are you doing? Get off, Ryuaju. Hey. Momo frowned. This is my favorite bike, of course I'll come with you. Why should I trust my bike to you, sensei? Minoru looked at her as she took a seat in the back. Fair enough. The corner of her lips curled up. Can you drive this thing? If not, I'll take the wheel. Yet. Without hesitation, he swung a leg over Momo's motocross bike, hand dancing over the throttle. The engine growled to life, its roar echoing through the air. Hold on to something. Wait a section. There's nothing to hold on to on this kind of bike, Momo argued, looking at his back before boldly wrapping her arms around his waist. "All right, go ahead," she added, an unamused expression revealing her lack of inhibition. Still maintaining a poker face, he pondered, what's up with her? Minoru sensed a pressure against his back, but he dismissed it, focusing on shifting the bike gears. With a forceful yank on the throttle, the rear tire screeched in a desperate search for traction. They catapulted out of the building at breakneck speed. Anyway, what the hell just happened? Why are those two treating the rest of us like background characters? The delinquents were well aware that Ryuja Momo was a tough nut to crack, not someone easily handled. Don't even ask about trying to get close to her. Tons of idiots who tried to make a move ended up in pretty sorry states. That asshole. He got a hug from Ryuja-sama. Fuck. This is unfair. Yamamoto. What should we do? The boys looked dumbfounded. How did this guy get a hug from our boss just like that? Masa, momentarily dazed, turned furious. Even though he was Momo's top dog, how did this injustice happen to him? Aji-sama won't be happy hearing this news, he grumbled, looking at the building entrance unhappily. Let's kill him. Dash. Meanwhile, Momo's underlings cursed Minoru. He rode the bike as fast as he could. The road was mostly dirt, not asphalt, but thankfully, Momo's motocross bike could handle it. In the back seat, Momo clung to Minoru's back, curiosity etching her face as she wondered about their destination. Peeking over his right shoulder, she could feel the rushing wind intensify with its speed. Hey, where are we? Go, watch out. Hard right turn up ahead, slow down. Slow down. Momo's panic surged at the looming sharp turn, her grip on Minoru tightening further, inadvertently exposing her fear of being a passenger rather than in control. Yet Minoru remained calm. Hold on. He let down his right foot, the rear tire sliding to the left as the bike entered the corner. He expertly controlled the bike, turning the handlebars to the opposite way. Minoru pulled the throttle again as they hit a fairly straight road. Momo watched in amazement as Minoru repeated the move at every corner. Her anxiety eased as she observed his skill. Watching from the back, she thought. Damn, he's good, better than me. She had initially assumed Minoru's riding skills were average, but he was a pro at riding a dirt bike like this. Sensei. Where are we going? She asked loudly over the roaring exhaust. Cow farm. Minoru replied, his eyes focused on the road. The heck? A farm. Momo looked away from the road to his face as if confirming something. Then she asked, farm? What's going on there? As they emerged from the dense forest, a vast open area and a meadow unfolded before them, welcoming their arrival. Minoru skillfully maneuvered the dirt bike toward the farm's open gate, coming to a sudden halt in front of the bewildered group responsible for the farm's upkeep. Their faces turned pale, clearly caught off guard by the unexpected arrival. Disembarking from the bike, Minoru and Momo approached the group. Recognizing him, the chief hurriedly ran towards Minoru, panic evident in his voice. Sir. We had no idea what just happened. Someone opened the gate without our knowledge. Concerned about the escaped cattle, Minoru inquired, are all the cows escaped? How many of them? To his question, Momo gasped, anxiously scanning the surroundings. 21, sir. The chief replied breathlessly. The cows broke free not long ago, and they were heading towards the main building. This isn't good, sir. Throughout winter, they've been confined to the barn, but someone turned on the sprinkler, making them cold and stressed. I don't know how, but suddenly, the barn gates opened, and it's not an ideal time for them to be outside, he explained as Minoru narrowed his brow. Sensei. There's a large crowd in the auditorium. Momo shouted, realizing the gravity of the situation. A welcome ceremony was scheduled in the main building complex, and the potential danger posed by agitated cows could be catastrophic. Assessing the situation, Minoru thought, cattle are moody creatures, which is, they go berserk when their mood gets messed up. And I had no idea Henry was this batshit crazy about a test, and that woman is probably smirking at my situation. From the beginning, Minoru already duplicated the system in the principal's room, and the purpose was not to get control but so he could detect something like this. He knew that the principal had control over all facilities, including the farm, with just a single click. Frustrated with this yet still calm, he considered using Ryuja's bike but deemed it too unstable for handling cattle. Bullets? Contemplating a gun as a potential solution, he hesitated, realizing the repercussions and potential cancellation of the event in this non-gun friendly country, and the academy didn't have such thing as arms security since it's illegal. And what if he let this be and let the outsider do the job? Judging by the situation, this academy was as secure as a presidential meeting. Minoru was aware of the numerous men strategically positioned outside the academy. Hailing from influential families such as Shinomiya, Shijo, Yukinasada, and even foreign figures from troublesome kingdoms, they were all here to safeguard the second princess, Teresa de Luxembourg. Should I ask her? No. He wondered if he should seek help from Maki as she was still indebted to him. But still, he'd lose his position. There's no option for that. No doubt, he must take the job himself. Chief. A distressed voice came in a hurry. The horse. We can't control Yuya, he's too strong. I'm afraid he'll escape in no time. What? The chief exclaimed. Lock him up no matter what. That's impossible, sir. Did you forget what kind of horse he is? No one can control him except the founder himself, chief. The chief glanced at Minoru. Sir, what should W? Minoru interrupted. That's it. Minoru had an idea. Take me to where you parked the horsebox. He stared daggers at the chief, making him gulp nervously. I'll handle Yuya. I beg your pardon. The chief looked dazed as if he thought Minoru was crazy. You heard me. There's no time, show me where he is now. The chief was somehow more nervous to refuse him than to handle the horse. Why yes, follow me. Minoru nodded as they went to Yuya's horsebox. Hey! Momo blurted out, totally thrown off by him strutting away. Hold up! Sensei, that's way too risky. Momo had zero clue what the heck his seemingly nutso plan was, but she felt this itch to step in and shut it down. Hey, wait! You should know that a lot of teachers end up messed up, spending their days stuck in the hospital for what? All because they're greedy and want to take this academy for free, Momo remarked, striding alongside Minoru. I've heard about it a million times. Thank you, Minoru replied all cool, like he was saying, Nat, I'd win. What? But all she got was this mere response. Ugh, whatever. She didn't want to seem bothered like she gave a damn or something, and he was too arrogant. Yet, she was somehow curious about this as she followed him to see what was going on next. With no time to spare, they arrived at a slick black horse box that looked expensive. It appeared to be custom-made for the horse, adorned with the elegant Shuchian logo on each side. At the back, a large Roman numeral 9 indicated the identity of its owner. He thought, 9. I see. Somehow, he was glad that you had given him a heads up. A loud bang echoed, and 6 men stood up, nervously gripping batons in their hands. Minoru's gaze fixed sharply on the black horsebox back door from where the sound emanated. Minoru touched his left ear. This is Yanagi, we've got a situation. Over. A/N, from Chapter 22, Yuya 9 is the descendant of General Sumeragi's horse, the founder of Shuchiin. Under the fast-growing trees, Gota Hidori pondered the recent conversation with Yanagi-sensei. Assessing the situation. He might be just like me. Hidori considered Minoru as one of her kind, someone who prefers dark places to conceal themselves from what she referred to as the so-called people. The forest, with its specifications aligning with her taste, earned her approval. Glancing down at her feet, she noticed the gravel trembling, accompanied by vibrations from the ground. Earthquake. Being Japanese, she was accustomed to small earthquakes, but the ground continued to tremble more intensely over time. What was happening? Moo. The loud sound caught her off guard, yet prompting a clear question to cross her face. Slowly turning back, she noticed the ground shaking even more, but that wasn't the real issue, because a herd of cows running rapidly toward her. Run, Hidori! Run! Hi. Freaked out, she hollered, "CCC cows!" Panic set in, her face turned pale as she ran for her life, guitar in tow. Why? All I wanted is the pursuit of friends, band members, her simple desires, but now, she found herself being chased by a herd of angry cows. Two petite, fluffy creatures could be seen engaged in an unusual activity, horseback riding with a dog. It was a heartwarming sight, a rarity on the bustling streets of Tokyo. Oh my, look at them! exclaimed the cute Oni-san, giggling at the spectacle, with others around echoing similar sentiments. Are they playing horseback? So cute. Hope no one takes a picture and spreads it on the internet, Ruby muttered, burying her red face under her oversized hoodie. However, there was a more pressing concern. Anya, why are we getting slower? Ruby inquired, prompting Anya to look down at Bond. Huffed. Borf. With a resounding thud, Bond landed, his large belly hitting the ground. Visibly exhausted, he slipped into a deep sleep. Peak of laziness, Anya remarked, dismounting from Bond. We'll switch dogs. She pointed towards an apartment. Confused, Ruby glanced at it. Is this the secret base? She wondered. Compared to my house, this looks, average. Anya gasped as she read Ruby's thoughts. That's nuts, having always considered Teresa's place luxurious, she thought, then where does Ruby live, a big castle? She nodded, expected from the bossman. Anyway, let's go. Bond, wake up. Anya attempted to drag Bond, who was half asleep, and the three managed to reach Teresa's apartment. Do you have the key? Ruby asked. Here. Anya handed Ruby a card. Got it. Familiar with the process, Ruby unlocked the door without any issues. Bang. 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 Kagaya. A loud noise startled Ruby. Anya gasped, realizing they needed to hurry. We must hurry, Ruby. This was the future Anya had foreseen, and if the dogs were behaving like this, they had to act quickly. Gulping nervously, Ruby agreed, realizing the urgency of reaching Shuchian before being caught. She slowly opened the door and peeked through a small gap. The room fell silent the moment she opened it. Wondering why, her eyes widened upon seeing the scene inside. What is that? Chapter 40, Chapter 36, Family Situation. Recap. John Wick theme plays. As Minoru arrived at the cow farm, he discovered all the cows were gone, and he suspected the old man who wanted to test him, unaware that the culprits were Henry, the principal, and Sae, the vice principal, who seized the opportunity to teach him a lesson. Now faced with this revelation, what will he do next? Meanwhile, Hidori is running for her life from angry cows, and Minoru remains oblivious to the fact that his daughter and her partner in crime went to Teresa's apartment to get his dogs. The plot thickens as these events unfold. What on earth is going on here? I thought I was gonna be Wolf Chow. Ruby exclaimed, wide-eyed. Lick. 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 Enough, doggies. Give me some space. She shooed them away, maintaining a cute demeanor as she still harbored the fear of being devoured by these intimidating, wolf-like creatures. Hey, Anya. Why are they so clingy? Don't they belong to, what's her name again? Anya blinked. Boss, I mean, Princess Teresa. That's it. Then why are they acting like this? I thought they were going to attack me or something. Ruby said as she patted Delta's head. Anya observed Ruby, surrounded by 7 dogs that were originally owned by 001, her father. The dogs stuck out their tongues, showing joy and recognition of their master's scent. However, their intelligence was evident as they also recognized Ruby as his daughter. We need to go now, doggies. Upon hearing Anya, the dogs realized it was not the time for playful antics with Ruby. Whoa! Ruby exclaimed as Alpha suddenly placed her on his back. Waku waku. Me too. Excited, Anya joined Ruby on Alpha's back. Anya pointed to the exit like Jack Sparrow, let's go. She declared, and the dogs raced out of the apartment while making sure to lock the door behind them. Slow down. From Alpha's back. Ruby felt the rush of wind distorting her baby face comically, a far cry from the composed demeanor she usually maintained. Waku waku. Anya, ever the adventurous spirit, remained unfazed even amid such a whirlwind situation. As soon as Ai heard that Ruby and Anya were missing from their school, she, along with Ichigo and Miyako, rushed back to the kindergarten. Come on, pick it up, Minoru-kun. Ai, the worried mother, sat in the back seat, biting her thumbnail impatiently, phone pressed to her left ear. President, can you go faster? She asked, peering at the road ahead. Ichigo sighed, we're at 120 km per hour, and I couldn't go any faster than this. It's too dangerous, even in this good car. Biting her nail even faster, AI pleaded, please, pick it up, and please be safe, Ruby. She shut her eyes, offering a silent prayer. Meanwhile, Miyako was scouring the internet, hoping to find any information. I found her! She exclaimed, sending the information to AI. If I remember this place, she's not far from the neighborhood. But why are they riding on dogs' backs? No. This is not the time to think about it. What if they get hurt by those dogs? AI said, examining the picture. It was undeniably cute and wholesome, but AI couldn't shake off the concern of seeing her child and her friend in great danger. Let's calm down, AI took a deep breath. I assume they're heading to Shuchiin, since most of the photos are taken around there. She calmly assesses, while trying to understand Ruby's intentions. How did you even know about it, AI? We should go straight to the kindergarten. No. AI rejected Ichigo's idea. Because I'm her mother, and I know her better than anything. Please believe me. Her voice carried confidence, as she sensed something strange happening with Ruby. Yet that time, she didn't dare to force Ruby to give her an answer. Ichigo and Miyako glanced at her through the rearview mirror, experiencing a rare sight of a serious, calculated AI, not the silly idiot idol but a mature and strong woman. Ichigo, considering AI his adoptive daughter in his heart, though never vocalizing it, felt proud. All right, Shuchiin, here we come. Ichigo increased the speed of the electric car provided by Minoru. But AI is still worried. Is his phone on silent? AI wondered aloud, still trying to reach Minoru. From her observation, there was no doubt he would be angry when he learned about the situation. Dash. The clanging of metal echoed through the air as Yuya desperately attempted to break free. The situation was dire. When Minoru informed his team, their reactions were a mix of skepticism and concern, but they understood the gravity of the situation. What? Who released the cows? Who's the maniac responsible? Shizuka was the first to speak. Sensei, please calm down. But this is a terrible time for San Farman. Even though it sounds fun, the event will be cancelled. Chika exclaimed, a bit off topic but accurate nonetheless. Kagaya sighed before tapping her right earpiece. Sensei, how about we take down the cows with Princess Teresa's guards? I'm currently with her, and she's well, not surprising, but she knows the situation. The communication ended as Minoru sighed. There was no doubt that Twilight was watching the entire area, ready to eliminate any threats, maybe with his long-ranged rifle. We can't. I'll try handling the cows while all of you evacuate the guests to the auditorium or a higher place. Over. Wait. Yanagi. There's no way you could handle them. I think Shinomiya is right about this. Shizuka was shocked, echoing the sentiments of everyone who heard Minoru's plan. I agree. We can't risk the guests' safety, Sensei Miyuki said without hesitation. No. No guns. Don't worry, I'll take all the responsibility as the school affairs head, Minoru declared, looking at the chief beside him. Give me all the ropes you have and turn them into a lasso, and prepare a Western-style saddle. Fast. The chief hesitated for a moment before snapping to attention. Why yes, sir. You heard him? Let's go. Instinctively, he couldn't reject Minoru's commanding presence any more than he could handle Yuya. Boom. Ugh. Yuya managed to destroy the horse box's door with a powerful kick, startling two men before Minoru, who paled at the sight. Black skin, fur, and golden eyes, traits that matched the description Minoru had heard. At a glance, it was clear that Yuya was a top-tier horse, the apex predator. Stepping out, Yuya roared in victory, then sought someone to blame for his confinement. He despised being cooped up, asserting himself as the alpha meant for the outside world. However, his attention was drawn to a calm man who stared at him with an unwavering gaze, not flinching in the face of him, the alpha. Yuya sensed the power of belief in this human, a strength of will, unlike the weaklings who tried to ride his back without understanding their place. Slowly, Yuya walked, following his instinct, the same ancestral longing to follow the strong. "Yes, sir. Please back off." Two men raised their batons as Yuya approached. "Ah, shit." Momo watched from the sidelines, puzzled by why Minoru was also walking toward Yuya. Unamused, Yuya faced the two beta weaklings, effortlessly moving them aside slowly with his powerful legs. Minoru approached, seemingly undisturbed by the unconventional intelligence displayed by the horse. What? The two men were baffled. How did the horse display such intelligence? How did it effortlessly move them aside like cute cats blocking its way? This is a remarkable horse. No, your name is Yuya. Minoru smirked, patting Yuya's silky mane. Nay. I got it him. Minoru felt his phone vibrate again, the third time. It was AI, and he wondered if she had read some provocative tweets again, so he ignored. Though skeptical, he couldn't dismiss the worry after the third time. Yet? What is it? Minoru. Ruby is missing. He stopped patting. It was as if his heart skipped a beat. Minoru's poker face transformed into shock as he heard the first sentence. Chapter 41, Chapter 37, Wait for me. What? Minoru widened his eyes upon hearing the news, yet he kept his mind clear as he narrowed his eyes. All right, go on. AI sobbed a bit when she was glad that he finally picked up her call. She's running from her school with her friend Anya, and then Miyako-san found out about two children are riding a dog's back on Twitter. I think they went to your school since most photos of them are around Azabu. Don't worry Minoru-kun, since I'm also almost there. Dogs, and Anya forger. The clues were obvious. Since he already knew Twilight's real identity as Lloyd Forger, then Teresa must have already met with Anya. But what about the dog? What kind of dogs were they riding? It seemed too obvious that since Teresa was here, then his dogs were also here. Since he trained them to become weapons, his dogs were smart enough to judge the situations around them. It seemed the dogs sniffed trouble since Teresa's place was also nearby, and they would come to him when they knew that there was no way that their real master could do the job alone. Logically speaking, there was no way he could capture 21 cows on his own, but he believed he could find some way. But if his dogs were here, it would be a great help for him while he also wasn't worried since legally they were Teresa's dogs and not his. It was too weird even to think about it since he never planned this. And positively, he was also happy when his cute daughters brought help for him, yet he wasn't happy at all. Just thinking about it made him scared. What if Anya and Ruby got hurt? The dogs obviously went for the cows, and what if they got hurt by those living Wajiya with angry issues? The impact from one of 21 cows, with a minimum weight of 400 kilograms, on tiny Ruby and Anya. Crippled for the rest of their lives. Even death. What was the point of the mission if he lived the rest of his life with regret? Hayek. I'm sorry. I'm such a bad mother, am I? Even though I noticed it. It seems Ruby has been under a lot of pressure since Aqua became busier, AI said, and he could hear it. Yeah, me too, but don't worry. I'll protect them. Minoru thought about her words as he hung up the call. He focused on his new objective, his dogs must arrive earlier than him, and he must get there quickly to ensure Ruby and Anya's safety. He knew that no one would be concerned about his daughter's safety since they would prioritize saving their ass first. Sir. We have the things you requested. They gulped upon seeing Minoru's sudden change in demeanor. Minoru glanced back and saw the chief and his men. They thought he could kill someone with just his gaze. We brought our best ropes and turned them into lassos, horse riding reins, and, lastly, a Western-style saddle, as you requested. The chief said while he was scared. He asked for the Western-style saddle because he needed the saddle horn for roping the cows. Thank you. He took the ropes and circled them around his shoulder. He grabbed the saddle and riding reins, attaching them all without asking for their help. More importantly, he performed these actions as if he were used to them, and they even saw that Yuya was perfectly behaved. How? The chief was dumbfounded, his face seemingly asking who exactly this young man was. Without a doubt, Yuya had finally chosen the person who could ride on his back. If the higher UPS at Shuchian found out, especially the CEO, they knew the uproar that would happen if this new teacher could sit on Yuya's back, but he wasn't just sitting there. He was using Yuya to go after the escaped cows. Goosebumps ran through him. Momo, the daughter from the Ryujo clan, had never met someone like this. She walked closer, observing Minoru as he swung his legs over the horse's back and positioned himself on the saddle. More importantly, she wondered if someone could change so drastically. Earlier, Minoru always wore that poker face, now, he was totally different after finishing his call with someone. Just what had he heard that made him seem like he wanted to kill someone? Minoru glanced at Momo, causing her to gasp as she halted. This was awkward. But then Minoru tossed her something. Oh wah! She caught it, a bit shocked. It was her dirt bike key. Looking at Minoru, she asked, why? Minoru was busy finishing putting on his pair of black gloves. He then held the horse reins. He said, there won't be a next time. Gazing forward, Minoru put slight pressure on Yuya's right using his leg. Go. Longing for action, Yuya ran with everything he had. It was Yuya the Ninth's first time experiencing this, and he was super thrilled. Minoru could feel the wind on his face, his unbuttoned suit fluttering as he rode the horse with lightning speed. But this wasn't enough. Yuya! Run at full speed! Yuya roared again, sharpening his eyes at the front. The clacking sound of his shoes could be heard as he left a trace of dust behind, running even faster on the road that led them to the forest of sakura trees. Whoa! Momo, who usually had a harsh tongue, lost her words. The sight of a man with silver hair riding that stubborn horse in his fancy suit left Momo and the others in awe. Gradually, they couldn't see his back and the horse anymore as he entered the forest. Dash! Did he refuse it? Tilting her head, Teresa asked the question, but somehow, she wasn't shocked by Minoru's refusal. Ha! What does he think? Does he want to take care of the cows by himself? And how do we even convince the guests to evacuate? Really troublesome. Kagaya shook her head, less doubtful of Minoru after he took care of the Yakuza alone. She even wondered about his relationship with the Yakuza, as they were obedient to the point of fear. Reflecting on the first time Kagaya met Minoru, she glanced back at Teresa, who wore a clueless expression. That time, she had also seen Teresa and Minoru talking in front of the principal's office. Somehow, Kagaya believed that Minoru had some kind of relationship with Teresa or Luxembourg. She based this belief on watching Maki talk with Minoru as if they had reunited in an unexpected moment. Teresa stood there with a warm smile, watching Kagaya lost in thought until someone addressed her. Teresa-sama, our agents are waiting for your call, Alexandra said respectfully. Nothing. Just continue as usual, Teresa replied with a warm voice. Understood, Alexandra backed off a bit. Agent, for now, just observe the situation until Teresa-sama commands you. Somewhere far away, a man wearing a dark blue suit steadied himself with a sniper in his hand. Roger, Lloyd said calmly. But amidst all that, excuse me, young lady. Kagaya snapped back, looking at the woman with pink hair, her husband and their little daughter. They seemed to be the family of freshmen this year. How cute, she thought. Yes? Can I help you, ma'am? I'm sorry to bother you, but we're looking for our daughter. I thought she might be lost somewhere. Kagaya smiled, no, that's fine. We'd be glad to help you, ma'am. If you could just tell me the student's name. The mother lit up, yes, thank you. Her name is Gotahiter. From afar, they could hear someone shouting for help. Chapter 42, Chapter 38, The Horseman. Shinomiya Academy. Today marked a special occasion, a day when parents across Japan proudly escorted their children to school. This ritual was no exception, even at the esteemed Shinomiya Academy. Beneath the graceful canopy of cherry blossoms, students strolled alongside their parents, the atmosphere tinged with a unique charm emanating from the school's venerable architectural presence. Ding! Ding! The clock tower chimed a few times, signaling the morning hour of 10:30 a.m. However, amidst this predictable cadence, a far more intriguing sound pierced the air. Ha! Ha! Help! The desperate plea belonged to a freshman named Gotahitari, who sprinted across the picturesque meadows, doing everything within her power to evade a group of irate cows. Moo. The bovines seemed even more determined, fixating their gaze on Hitari's distinctive pink jacket. Hey, what is that? Run! Ah! Chaos ensued. The once composed crowd en route to the auditorium came to an abrupt halt. Murmurs and pale expressions spread as everyone's attention shifted toward the commotion. Like a collective instinct, they abandoned their leisurely pace, rushing towards the auditorium in search of safety. Dash! In the principal's office. Henry couldn't believe his eyes. He turned around, his face drenched in sweat. Oi! Who told you to release so many cows? He exclaimed. I just did what you said, Principal, Chibashira replied, her words sounding genuine. You did. Secretary Chan added. I said just one. Just one. Not this many. Not so chaotic. Henry turned back and noticed a poor girl running from the stampede. Don't just stand there. Do something to protect that child. The two hurriedly left the room to address the situation. Uncle! A woman exclaimed as they walked out, what did you just do? Why did the cows escape from their cage? CEO. Henry was sweating bullets, then sighed. It seems I'm getting old. I'll send you my resignation letter after I clean up this mess. Now, excuse me, I must handle this situation as the principal. Dash. In the hushed atmosphere of the auditorium, the student council was momentarily paralyzed. Yanagi-sensei was serious. I thought he was just joking around, Chika exclaimed shamelessly, her eyes widening. Shizuka, agape, observed a girl with a guitar and blurted out, what the heck? They're already here? Shirogane, ring the bell now. Fujiwara, start announcing the evacuation through the school's speaker. Got it. Got it. 2x. As the chaos unfolded, Shizuka muttered, Chibashira, that bitch. But her attention was diverted when she noticed someone with long black hair sprinting past her. Shinomiya, wait. Wait. Kagaya paid no heed, her determination propelling her forward. Shizuka, scanning the area, called out, Briar. Ah. Yes. Ya snapped back, startled. I'll chase Shinomiya, you stay. Shizuka declared, urgency in her voice. Ya hesitated, her passivity masking a deeper reason. Earlier that morning, before the brief meeting, she had received a call from her workplace, the garden. Briar, no matter what happens, don't reveal your true strength in public. Just show them you're good at sports. We can't risk anything, protect your background, her manager had warned. Ya grappled with her internal conflict. I can stop them with just acupuncture. But, if I do that. I'm sorry, Yanagi-san. She couldn't risk exposing her abilities and was also protecting someone dear to her. Sensei. Don't be like that and help us. Everyone, please calm down, don't push. Riko pleaded. Ya eyes welling up as she saw Riko, Kei and Moha struggling. She felt helpless like a coward, unable to do more to quell the panic. Ack. Meanwhile, Hidari stumbled over a rock, gasping for breath. She crawled desperately like a snail, her face distorted with fatigue. Suddenly, she felt someone pull her. Turning, she saw a girl with long black hair and red eyes. Your mother is looking for you, Gota-san, Kagaya said, guiding Hidari as they ran, the approaching danger of the stampeding cows ever present. Teresa. Do it now. Kagaya instructed through the radio. I can't. There are kids inside the firing area. What? Kids? There's no one here except us. Amidst the chaos, Kagaya dragged Hidari with urgency. As they fled, Kagaya noticed something peculiar. 7 serious-looking dogs and 2 kids? What the heck is that? A waka waka sound pierced the air. Kagaya halted abruptly, causing Hidari to tumble to the ground. Grrrrrrr. Woof. Woof. The dogs displayed their sharp fangs, asserting their predator status. The cows, unnerved, scattered in disarray. Woof. Alpha signaled to his pack to split in half, chasing after the cows. Except for Alpha, the other 6 split and began their pursuit. Keek keek, all according to Anya's plan, smirked Anya with pride. Wait. I thought we were here for Yanajin? Why are we in this mess? Ruby freaked out at the crazy sight. She looked up, and her face paled. There's a drone there. It means we're live on TV. No no no. Mama's gonna kill me. Anya blinked as she pondered what if her dad knew what she was doing? Wait, he must know what she's up to. Ah. She will sell me out too. As the kids were spouting their too late concerns, a sudden shadow cast upon them, inducing a horror feeling. They gulped with the utmost clarity of 4-year-olds. Looking up and bending their necks, they saw a woman with a hat, mask, round sunglasses and long blue-purplish hair. Mama! Shouted Ruby. Ha, finally, she said, quite breathless. Anyway, I'm so worried about you, Ruby, and you too, Anya. Ruby and Anya began to pale as AI spoke coldly. But the chaos was not over yet. Moo. AI snapped her head, looking ahead to see a big car rushing towards them with incredible speed. Quickly, she snatched Ruby and Anya into her hug, turned around, and began to run away from the scene. Her face was sweating under her mask, her heart beating rapidly as she felt a chill down her spine, worried about these kids. The cow, seeing a moving object, became angrier without knowing the reason. The target was locked, he increased his speed, chasing AI. Grrrrrrrrr. Woof. Seeing this, Alpha launched himself and jumped onto the cow's back, aiming for the neck. Moo. The cow grew even angrier as it ran at AI with full speed. Alpha bit her neck even deeper, yet couldn't snap the thick neck with his fangs, despite being half-wolf. Hearing the roar, the other cows also started running, following their leader's roar, some of them having bites from other dogs. The cows regrouped, leaving a gap with their leaders. Ha! 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 Under that cover, AI's face turned even paler. The cow's steps got closer and closer, and even with her speed, she couldn't overpower these cows. Shit! Where is he? Said the angry boy named Aqua. Director. Could you call a taxi for me? Since the situation was coincidentally broadcast on Shuchian TV, the live viewers reached 5 million. They were here for the sexy teacher, but they didn't expect this sudden and roller coaster situation with an unknown woman running with 2 kids in animal costumes. Looking at the woman, even though she hid her identity well, Gotanda knew this was AI, recognizing her by looking at Bunny Ruby. Shit, I'll come as well. Can't leave a 4-year-old boy alone or the police will kill me, he said in a rush. Dash. Whoosh. Meanwhile, a hazy figure darted through a forest of cherry blossoms, his intense gaze piercing through the end of tunnels, all while containing the anxiety ready to erupt within him. As a furious cry echoed through the air, I'll fucking slaughter every one of you, Wage IUA 5. What is this? In the midst of the crowd, Yu's senses tingled with foreboding. This thick killing intent. What was that? Can such a bloodlust even exist? It must be an enemy. She searched for the source, but then... Ding. Dong. Ding. Dong. A roar silenced the academy, leaving only the haunting echoes of the wind and the tolling of a large bell. It wasn't just Yu who sensed that bloodlust, even the cows shivered, slowing their pace, yet the leader remained steadfast. In a flash, a shadowy figure emerged from the forest, entering the meadows. Isn't that Yanagi-sensei? A silver-haired man on a black horse, eyes sharp as daggers, fixed his gaze on the lead cow. Faster! He said as Yuya passed through the herd. Minoru's right hand swinging the lasso and aiming it for the neck. Snap! The lasso caught the alpha cow, and with all his might, Minoru pulled it taut. Moo. Comically, the cow was yanked backward, bellowing. Yet, the job wasn't over, 20 more cows still mindlessly stampeded, posing a danger to his wife and kids. Slow down! Spotting a running woman with a hat and familiar long hair, Minoru grabbed the horn of the saddle, swinging his body to the left side of the horse and hanging sideways, his right hand clutching the saddle horn. What's happening? AI exclaimed, but then, Kai. She clutched the kids tightly, feeling her body lifted and a strong hand around her waist. It's me, don't worry. Boss man. Anya's excited voice rang out. Boss? And that familiar voice. AI and Ruby looked up to see Minoru hanging sideways as he saved them, leaving their mouth agape. Hey! He pulled himself back onto the saddle, then gently lifting AI onto the horse's back. Calming herself, she teased, "You're late," keeping her voice low. Minoru chuckled, "Hold on tight." Blushing beneath her mask, AI secured her grip around his waist, while ensuring the safety of the kids. Minoru slowed the horse with a screeching sound, and turned back toward the oncoming cows. Screech! They halted, facing the predator casting deathly glares. His dogs growled menacingly, aligning themselves in front of the horseman. Minoru. You hunted my family, now it's your turn to be hunted.
Thanks for listening.